Water.
Earth.
Fire.
Air.
For the longest time, the four nations have lived together in harmony. Under the wise leadership of Avatar Roku, the world has experienced an era of peace and prosperity. But with the recent death of Avatar Roku and the arrival of a strange comet in the sky, members of all nations feel the winds and tides of change. With the search for the new Avatar only just beginning, the world seems poised on the brink of conflict. But without the Avatar, who will save the world?
My name is Bree, also known as PrettiPixel, and I am playing Shurva, a warrior from the Fire Nation.
I play Marco, a firebender from the Fire Nation.
Hello, I'm Ali, and I'm playing Oki, a waterbender from the Northern Water Tribe.
I'm Brandon, and I'm Rung Bolo, an earthbender from the Earth Nation.
Hey, I'm Dave, and my character is Al, the airbender from the Air Nomads.
And I'm Owen, the dungeon master of this ragtag group of members of all four nations. Well, hello, and welcome to the Lost Archives. My name's Owen, and I'm joined by these lovely people around me. Now, you've already heard the intro, but there is a new face over towards my left-hand side, if you're looking at the screen. That is Haz. Say hello, Haz. Give us a wave.
G'day.
Haz is joining us as a special guest character because Dave, our airbender, is absent. He is... what is he doing? Something. Probably sports-related. He does sports and D&D, so he's chosen sports over D&D, which is obviously the foolish choice. So we've replaced him with Haz, who's going to be playing with us for tonight, and hopefully we can get him back for some future sessions as well. Now, we are not going to introduce Haz's character just yet. We're actually going to leave Haz's character to come across organically as part of the journey. So Haz, I'm really sorry, but you're gonna give us another wave and then sit tight while we get to your guest character as quickly as we physically can.
I will loiter back here.
For those of you who are watching the stream, you might already, or watching this on YouTube, you might already have a bit of a hint about who he's playing because I have put a symbol up next to his name. I've got the earth, air, fire, water, and weapon symbol. I've created one for his character, which is a variation of the earth symbol. So for those of you who are aware of what the symbols are, you might be able to figure out what he's playing in advance. But we're going to keep the secret for those of you who are listening on the podcast, or for those of you who don't know the show to the minute detail that you need to know it. So we're going to jump straight back in. So last session, our heroes spent a bit of time at the Beifong estate as the children of delegates summoned for a very important meeting following the death of Avatar Roku and the arrival of Sozin's comet. Members of all four nations came together for a summit and a meeting to discuss these events and what they might mean for the future. Our heroes were not invited as part of that. They were the children and family members of these delegates. Not important enough to be involved, but couldn't really organize babysitters and caretakers for this period of time. So they've been dragged along with their parents and significant others. They've sat through a couple of very boring introductory meetings and dinners. A few of them had a bit of a chance to play around with their bending and learn some new things. And last session, during a very sort of standard early morning, they've been going through the motions for about 3 days now. A group of Dai Li, these earthbending guards, and Fire Nation soldiers had a bit of a row, an argument over some missing maps and plans. The party split up. Rung and our good friend Sal, who's not with us tonight, decided to investigate for all of about 5 seconds. As soon as they discovered the item missing was maps and plans, they gave up, deciding the mystery was, and I quote, too boring, and went and had some breakfast. Meanwhile, Marco and Shurva, who are members of the Fire Nation, decided to follow the Fire Nation soldiers back towards the ironclad ship that had been docked to the river, and discovered a number of Fire Nation soldiers practicing and getting ready with arms and armor. On board the ship, they interacted with Captain Zhao, an older gentleman who was the captain in charge of their expedition, their ship who had taken them to out of the walls of Ba Sing Se up the river and through the breach to the Beifong estate. And they were able to convince Captain Zhao to share that he had indeed been responsible or had ordered the theft of these maps and plans. that showed in quite intricate detail the walls of Ba Sing Se, including not anatomical, engineering diagrams on the makeup and weak points of the wall, as well as a map of the surrounding area. Without any real effort, he managed to convince Marco to take these plans off his hands. After he announced that he no longer had need of them, Marco very gladly just took them and has been carrying them around for the last session. These very sensitive, delicate plans that if anyone found on him would get him into a lot of trouble. He'd just carry them around without any problem. Meanwhile, Oki, you spent a bit of time trying to eavesdrop on the Dai Li and the Fire Nation's meetings, but you were unsuccessful in that. So you ended up joining Rung and Sal for breakfast, where you met a rather annoying member of the Earth Nation, another teen, an Earth Nation teenager known as Pang, who had recently arrived. His father, an advisor to the Earth Queen, had been sent out to smooth over some terse negotiations, and he was slammed in with you lot for a little bit. Our two Fire Nation, Marco and Shurva, arrived back at breakfast, kicked him off his chair, threw him on the ground, and caused him a great deal of pain before kicking him out of the dining hall. I believe the quote was, "Everything was fine until the Fire Nation attacked," was how we ended with him last session, with Pang being removed by the Dai Li. Marco and Shurva decided to trust their new companions, Rung, Oki, and Sal, and shared with them what they had learned about the Fire Nation arming themselves, and shared the maps as well, the maps and plans. However, while they were in the process of deciding basically how they wanted to handle this, a group of Dai Li burst through the walls and announced that they would be taking the children, these lovely players around me, hostage, as negotiations clearly had started to go even further south. Clever use of bending and combat techniques, through clever use of bending and combat techniques, our team were able to escape, and we ended last session with them running out through the front door and into the open area, the open hall area, where you guys, as you burst through these doors and begin pelting down, running away as fast as you can, anyone who has the afraid condition can now remove it, because you are running away from a fight. You have met the conditions to remove the afraid condition. So I think, Shurva, you had afraid condition. You may remove that. You can remove the afraid condition. And Marco, did you have it as well? No, it was Sal. I think Sal had it. I'll mark it off for him for when he gets back. But you can all remove the afraid condition. As you guys begin running down this hallway and push through the outer front doors, the Dai Li hot on your heels, the floor beneath you as you step over the threshold drops, and all of you, excluding Sal, begin plummeting down into a narrow earthen shaft. You can see clearly the Dai Li had a backup plan for your attempts to escape as the floor collapses beneath you. Now, my question is, as Sal basically airbends this quick ring of air and pushes himself up and over, what are the rest of you doing to try and prevent yourselves knocking out or taking quite serious damage from dropping down this 10-meter pit that has been earthbended in the center of the room as you step out of these doors and just drop? I can see your hands up.
Do I have enough time to just sort of try and freeze a slide to sort of slow our descent?
Ooh, that sounds like pushing your luck to try and that sounds like pushing your luck. You're only new to ice bending. I think you only literally learned it a day ago in the context of Avatar. So nailed it. For those of you who are joining us, waterbenders in the time of Avatar Aang, in the time of the show, Avatar The Last Airbender, in the Northern Water Tribe are pretty shit. They don't allow women to learn combat techniques. So I'm figuring that 100 years ago, those prejudices are only stronger. So we have stuck with that for Ali's character. She's only been taught healing, and so she's been teaching herself and picking up what she can about waterbending. Oki, 9, mixed success. As you basically whip out, you still had your water skin on you. You're able to pull out and try and slow down the fall. Because you don't have a geyser of water, you've only got what's in the water skin. You're basically continually pulling this water into a never-ending rolling stream of ice to try and slow your descent. You are semi-successful. As you guys get jostled and bumped around and smash into the walls, you avoid taking any conditions, but you each need to mark 1 fatigue for me as you continue dropping. Unless, before you mark it, Rung, I saw your hand up for a second as well. Did you want to try something as well?
Yeah, I was pretty much, because I'm going down just a pit of dirt, I was just going to try and just throw some dirt from the side of the wall and just see if I can just use that to cushion the landing somewhat.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to roll me skills and training?
Or make just a block come out and we just land on the block midway or something like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds like
Good.
skills and training. This is pretty standard earthbending. You're not doing anything beyond what you already know how to do.
Nothing too crazy here.
Nothing too crazy.
Which one? Where did my thing go? I had it out a second ago.
For those of you who are watching
phrasing?
on the stream or watching YouTube, you'll notice that we now have character art flashing up on the side that is of the stream. That is right. I finished the artwork for everyone, and then I did myself as well, because why not, hey? So I've done myself as the avatar, because I was feeling left out of not having my own special art. So you'll see the artwork flicking around. Please enjoy. I'll be checking it up on Instagram and the Facebook page as well. If you want to have a close look at it, you are welcome to use the artwork for any of your characters if you want, if you ever play this game. It's free to use. You having trouble there, Brandon?
Technical difficulty. Just one second. It'll be a very huzzah! It worked this time. Just had to refresh. Opera is a great browser. I don't want to hear anyone say anything otherwise.
Much like Opera, I find it drags on way too long and doesn't fulfill me. So.
Oh, is it focus? Is it focus? I'll use for.
Oh, you can roll with the basic techniques in the character sheet, so it actually lets you roll straight away. So on your character sheet, if you open it up, I'm going to open up for you the little cheat sheet so that you can see it. You ready? Are you looking on your screen?
Yes.
You ready to have your mind blown?
Blow it.
How's that, baby?
Oh my god, that's what those.
How have you been rolling this entire time?
He's been manually rolling these stats and these things, just so you know.
Oh my god.
I know.
Oh my
Yeah, well,
I'd expect that from an opera user.
It's right there, guys.
It's right there.
It's
So what
good.
I've done is I've opened up the legend who created this character sheet, included all of the basic moves and combat moves just in a drop-down sheet with the dice icons next to them, so we don't have to think. Mixed success, yeah, that makes sense. So as Oki is generating this ice, you are able to sort of slam your hands together and cause, I'm assuming not rocks, just soft dirt to try and cascade in around you to try and cushion your fall. Yeah, you are successful.
Yeah.
None of you need to mark a fatigue. That's enough to slow you down to the point where you're not going to take any damage. But the earthen wall, the earthen roof closes in above you. And Brandon, as you reach the bottom of the pit and you're locked in, you can sense immediately something's not quite right about the pit you're in. You can feel the earth that you've pulled in above, but around you now at the bottom of this pit, you're struggling to feel the earth around you. Could I get you to assess the situation for me?
Yes. Now it's not a really easy thing to click now.
Yeah. 5. No, so that's a miss. So 5 is a miss. So yeah, as you're sort of like feeling around, you can't quite tap into your earth bending, but you're not quite sure why. The earth that's at your feet that's coming from the dirt, not a problem. But the earth walls, you can't feel it. It's not there. It's not earth. As you're banging against it, it feels hard and cold and has a bit of a ring and a metallic ring to it as you start banging against the walls of a metal shell that has been set up that you have been dropped into. With a juddering lurch, you begin to feel the cage that you are in, this metal box, begin to be pulled and hoisted up towards the light. As the earth falls around, you now see there are tiny gaps to allow air, and sunlight begins streaming in. But you are now trapped inside of a large metal box that is roughly 8 meters in sort of width and length, and roughly 2 meters tall. So there's enough room for you guys to be standing, not pressed into each other, but it is uncomfortably tight, shall we say, for you guys to be pressed in together. I pass over to you guys as you feel this being jostled and moved. You can hear the sounds of muted conversation coming from outside. I pass over to the 4 of you. What would you guys like to do?
Marco, can you create a flame that's hot enough to melt the metal?
Preferably
That
without
would be
torching all us
hard.
inside it.
That might be a bit beyond my capability at the moment.
But the comet.
Is
Would
not
enhance
quite
your
high
powers.
enough to have fully begun enhancing. It's only just appeared in the sky, so it's sort of the early days. Marco's been able to call upon a bit stronger firebending than he normally is able to, but it's not quite at its peak
It's
yet.
still quiet.
You're not even going to push your luck?
Marco, absolutely. If you want to start trying to melt the hinges or something like that, absolutely, you can push your luck.
I'm just trying to think of repercussions if this goes horribly.
I was just thinking, before you start.
Run's on the
can
other
I
corner
isolate
over there.
the
He's just
area
trying to like
that's-
bend
By
the
the way, is
bars,
anyone
watching
hurt?
you like.
Before we do this,
Um,
because we just
I'm a
went in
little
that battle,
tired,
just tired.
Very
a
tired.
little fatigued, one could say.
Yeah, I'm a little
So,
fatigued as well.
For those of you who watch our D&D campaign, my players have this annoying habit of asking how many ribs they have left as a way of indicating how much damage they've taken, which is absolutely metagamey, and I punish. I will let you know now, if you start talking about how fatigued you are using a number, there will be consequences.
What about a rough percentage?
A rough percentage. Look, I have described my health in a rough percentage before, so I will allow that. But if you start going on about, I feel like 6 fatigued, I am going to be cross with you.
Like, I could go for this.
I could have a nap for like 6 hours right now.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. You can say that. You can say that. Because that's not how it works. That's fine.
Can I do my burden move roll?
Oh, yes, we can, to see if your ward has been listening to you. Did you want to do it every session, or did you want to do it at the end of each day? What do you reckon?
It says on there at the beginning of each session, but I feel like that's very much something that you can decide on.
Just so that you're not having to like update it every few seconds in real game time, or like every few minutes in real game time. Do you want to do it at the end of each, or the beginning of each day maybe? Or maybe at the end of each day to assess how has your ward been for that day?
Yeah.
And then that guides you for the next session. What do you reckon?
Yeah, that sounds good.
That.
All right. In that case, we'll go with the previous results of your ward. So for
haven't
those of you who
done
are listening. Oh, we don't have it. Do you want to do it now? Let's do it now.
We haven't done one yet.
Oh, we talked about it, but we didn't actually do it. Okay.
Yeah, we keep forgetting about it.
Let's do it really quickly now.
I was looking at what I could
let's do it
to
really quickly now.
help
So the question, Shurva is playing, Bree is playing Shurva, who is playing the Guardian Handbook. So the Guardian has to pick a person that they are protecting, and then they have to answer questions at the beginning of each session, or in our case, at the end of each day, whether or not their ward is listening to them. So do you want to read out the questions out loud, and we'll answer them as a group, shall we?
Yeah. So I take a +1 for each yes.
Yep.
And there's 3 questions. First question is, do you believe your ward listens to you more often than not?
Do you honestly believe Andrew spent last session listening to you more often than not?
God, no. God, no.
Yeah, probably not.
No, I'd give that a no.
Have I recently protected them or helped with them a problem?
Yes, that's absolutely +1.
100%.
Absolutely.
And is there an immediate threat to your ward that you're aware of?
You guys are locked in a metal cage. You may give that a +1.
Yeah. So that's with a +2.
You've turned yourself into Grogu again. Oh dearie me. For YouTube and for Twitch streamers, you will notice that Shurva just became Grogu for a few seconds. I don't know what to say.
I can hear my partner laughing from the next room.
Is Baby Yoda Grogu now? Because I need to watch the
his name's
second
Grogu.
season.
I'm so sorry. That's what number 2 on my keyboard does. I need to remember not to use my number 5.
Baby Yoda was better. It's a shame that they named him Grogu. It's just disappointing.
Okay, so I got
Success.
an 8. So on a 7 to 9, hold 1. So I can use a hold to either take 10+ on any move to defend or protect, track them down even if they're hiding or avoiding me, or figure out what they're up to without them knowing.
Do you want to? I suspect probably the last one is a bit more impressive for you right now. Hey, Shurva.
No, they don't target me. Hang on a second.
Yeah, it's you. It's
Yeah, these all target you. You're my burden.
Oh.
You're the burden, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the description.
Yeah.
So Ali, you said Oki was going to do something. You said, I think, with water.
Oh, I was just going to say, if Mako was going to try and melt through something, that she would try and isolate the area so that the rest of us didn't get fried from standing in the metal box.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd say that's skills and training to just sort of hold water around the area. That makes a lot of sense.
Go into a corner.
Yep.
And I will try to burn the way through the metal.
Yeah. Roll with pushing your luck, please. You are pushing your luck. Yeah, passion. Yep. Yeah, for pushing your luck. You are absolutely pushing your luck. This is more advanced firebending. So you're basically, what you're trying to do is very similar to what I guess what the Fire Lord does in that battle with Aang, where he compresses the flame down to a single hot point, almost like a butane torch. You're attempting that. So failure 6. As you go to try and concentrate, there's this, and then just smoke starts rising from your hand as the fire just goes out straight away. And as you continually try and do this every single time,
I'm a little tired. I'm sorry, guys.
A little,
I really thought you were better at firebending than this. Not gonna lie.
So did I.
Savage. And you guys are being jostled and bumped around. You can hear the sounds of talking from outside, and the sound of maybe a wheel turning, some wooden wheels turning, as the cage that you're in, this metal box, is being jostled and bumped around, and you're not really sure where you're being take it. Yeah.
I could try it. I was just thinking, see if I can try. So how big are like the bars or like the?
So it's solid
how
metal
big are the things
sheets,
in the
and
cage?
there's slits that are roughly 20 centimeters
damn.
wide and about 2 meters long on each side that are sort of making up these slits that you can horizontal slits to let air through at the very, very top.
You thought of everything. There goes my idea.
Not
was
me.
thinking
No,
about
no,
just, like,
no, not me.
putting
I'm
chunks.
with you. I support you guys. This is the Dai Li. It's not me.
I was just like, I was looking at the cage. I was like, oh, I could chuck earth in here and just stop it, but like just like putting like blocks of earth to like stop the cage from coming up the
Yeah.
tunnel.
Could be good.
But tiny little bits like that, I don't know if that's gonna be strong enough.
Not so much. What you guys immediately notice, Sal is not in here with you, and you've not heard any sounds of airbending coming to the rescue. It seems like for the moment, Sal may have abandoned you.
Wow. That guy.
My man, they need to protect him. Gone. I gave him a rock
what?
this morning and he
I can-
left.
I'm gonna assume he's on the roof sneaking around.
I'll throw another rock at him when I see him. He can't escape my
throw another
rocks.
Can't
Maybe
escape.
he's trying to watch where we're going.
Oh, I
For the
Okay.
most part, at least he's safe.
Remember when I said to the fire general that like we will get taken hostage, and he was like, "Nah, don't worry about it."
Well, that doesn't really help us right now, does it?
No,
Can
no.
someone think of something?
I'm just petty.
Starting to
at
get
this point.
Feeling about all these firebending types. Not
You
really getting my
guys
trust
all
from
have
them.
these magical, mystical powers. Do something with them.
I'm gonna curl up into a ball and take a nap.
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
just gonna make a pillow out of ice.
Gotta outdo him.
Whatever's
Pillow of
happening,
ice doesn't
happening.
sound
I
very
can't
comfy.
stop this.
Can I compress the dirt into a rock? Just so I have a rock in here with me.
Yeah, absolutely.
really
Yeah,
boulder.
there's dirt. Yeah, there's dirt. You can start trying to compress it down. Absolutely. I'd say that you've got enough time to do that. That's absolutely fine. That's not an
Make a
issue.
little boulder.
Well, did the rest of you? Did you guys want to take a bit of a rest while you're locked in this cage and there's not
Yes,
really
please.
anything that you can do? Anyone who wants to take a rest, let me know. So the way rests work in Avatar, essentially you can clear fatigue and things like that. So you guys can comfort and support each other. I would say that you guys are essentially sleeping rough at this point, so you may clear 3 fatigue as you are taking a bit of rest. So each of you can clear 3 fatigue. And anyone who had the afraid condition, you can remove that afraid condition because you've run away from a fight. Anyone who had the... Bear with me a moment. What was the other condition? There was another condition I think you guys could have cleared as well, potentially. Angry. Anyone who had the angry condition, you guys... So Andrew, I think you had angry, didn't you, Marco?
Yes, I did.
You can take that because you have definitely done something. You have put others in danger, and you broke things important. So you can mark that off. You destroyed and burnt the maps. That counts as breaking something. So you
Are you
may...
sure?
Destroying something important? Yes, you have destroyed
okay.
important things by destroying those. Yes, you may do that. Those are the conditions everyone gets clear. So everyone does that. The metal box that you're in continues moving. Very soon you find it very hard to keep track of time, especially as you begin resting. Could well have been a couple of hours before the sounds of the cart moving along some sort of road, as you can hear these wooden wheels clattering about on stone and on rock, begins to move onto something a bit finer and a bit more soft. It's at that moment you hear a shout of alarm coming from out the front of the wagon, this cry of "Ah!" And then the sound of something heavy hitting the side of the wagon. The metal box begins shifting and falling from side to side. There is another massive clang as the metal cage you are in is knocked over and you are all thrown prone, knocked to the ground as the box that you're in, this metal box, falls sideways. There are a series of loud cracks, crashes, and cries before everything falls silent. All you can hear is the sound of the wind whistling through the gaps in the top of the metal cage.
So we're still in the metal cage.
You are still in the metal cage. It's now sideways, so you are all lying down.
Can
Hello?
we see at the bars?
Oh, yeah.
As
Hold
you
my
get to the
boulder.
side, you can see the prone body of one of the Dai Li unmoving, buried in half buried in sand. You can see that he has sand sort of coming up and burying him in this section here. sort of over his chest and up towards his neck, and eyes are closed, mouth slightly open with a bit of sand in it, unmoving.
The enemy
Guys,
of my
I think
enemy
it's
is my
really
friend.
Hold my boulder. Like, I'm not afraid to use this rock. I just made it. Is he alive? I poke him with the rock. Are you good? Was this person on the ground as well? Would you say the person standing in the mouth, or
Yep. They're
Yeah, but
prone,
they're
lying on the
outside
ground
of our
outside the
cage.
cage. So they're lying. So you can see through these slits that allow air. You can see they are completely prone and unconscious, just lying down outside the metal box that you're currently in.
You could
You
make
now
a
begin-
long like rock shiv and like poke him.
You could
long rock.
You could probably
Long
use
rock.
Marco, I'm going to tell you right now, Marco has a metal sword.
Okay, yeah, but where's
It
the
really is good as
imagination
rock,
in
though.
that?
Sword.
Like,
Let's poke him
I'm
with
just,
the sword.
hey, look, I'm just telling you what you got. Marco has a metal sword.
It's called stabbing.
you don't want to stab him, I just want to shiv him a little. It's different.
You also hear, I would say at this point, you also hear from the sound echoing in a tinny sort of noise next to you here. Ow, I bumped my elbow.
Oh god. Oh
Coming
god,
from
no. Is this
This
hell?
day can't get any worse.
No.
Why are you here?
Is that you guys? Where are you? Are you in a box too?
We are God. Why are you still alive?
Can we just really quickly make a pact to leave them in their box?
Oh yeah, 100%. They're not good.
Guys,
Okay, cool.
the Dai Li didn't take me to the infirmary. They put me in a metal box.
Oh,
And they tied me up and gagged me. I just managed to get the gag out then when I fell sideways.
Do you want to put it back
I mean,
in
it's-
for us, real quick?
It's pretty hot and he's in a metal box. I'm pretty sure he's not going to live much longer, guys. We could just forget about this.
We can just ignore him. Yeah, ignore him.
Okay, but also it's pretty hot and we're still stuck in a metal box. So
You guys begin to hear the sound of footsteps on the top of your metal cage. There's a sound of chains clinking. And then the door, which is now the ceiling, opens. Light streams in, momentarily blinding you. And you suddenly find yourself staring at an old, weathered face. Haz, would you like to describe your character, please?
Yeah, so you are looking up at a old, sort of leathery skinned man with a long white beard and like sun bleached, like white hair from a long life spent on the desert. And he looks down at you and says, "What are you young folks doing in this box?"
hanging out.
Getting a radiating tan. It's probably the best ways you can get a tan nowadays. You put yourself in a box that's really hot and the radiation just cooks you from the inside. So we look brilliant. But I see you've been doing it for a lot longer than us. You have to teach us your secrets.
Taking a nap.
The sun is essential for vitamins and minerals. I've already released your charming friend over there. Would you like to hop out?
Oh,
You guys look
Easy.
over, and
Rather not.
Haz's character has indeed unlocked a box, and you see the familiar skinny, pale form of Pung. For your character, Haz, when you look across and you unlocked this guy, he was in a much smaller trunk. Essentially, he'd been hogtied and put into a small chest. Not even made of metal, just into
I've not
a
untied
chest.
him from that.
No.
I
So
opened
he's
the
still
box, but-
hogtied. He's got the gag down, and he's still he's hogtied. He's very, very pale, very skinny, dressed in very elegant Earth Kingdom robes. You immediately, upon unlocking and opening the chest, would have realized this guy is probably the son of someone quite important. And in fact, he then would immediately have gone, "Do you know who I am? My father is advisor to the Earth Queen. Unhand me. Untie me first, then unhand me." And you just ignore him.
Yeah.
Unlock the metal cage that sounds like it has slightly more interesting people inside of it, slightly less annoying people.
What?
But for Haz's character, could each of you quickly describe your characters for Haz's benefit? So do you want to start with Brandon? Can you describe Rung for us really quickly? And then we'll go Oki, Marco, and Shurva.
For sure. So Rung Bolo, he's pretty tall sort of dude, so he's around 6-ish sort of thing. For a dude, I'm sort of reckoning to be around 17 now as well. For a 17-year-old, it's kind of like picture sort of like a semi-JoJo's things, but not quite that bad. He's pretty buff for someone of that age, and pretty much anytime you look at him, he looks to be trying to like eat some protein, lift something, but he looks pretty muscular, long black hair tied up in a big bun, similar to this. That's your man.
That's your man.
All right.
Oki.
Right, Oki is also 17. She's a waterbender from the Northern Water Tribe. I think she's got like summer clothes on, but it's still quite heavy, blue and light blue, trimmed in fur. Like, she is not dressed appropriately for the desert, in no means.
Yeah. And Marco.
Like a 5'10", 20-year-old. Yep. In formal clothes, but like with armor, like padding on shoulders and like sides and stuff, with a very decorative sword at his side, with the normal black tied up hair as a firebender.
Yep. Yeah, so I'd say as your character notices that, yeah, it looks like Marco has the traditional sort of firebender armor, but you realize very quickly it's decorative. The person next to him, Shurva, her armor is real. And Shurva, would you like to describe your Bree, would you like to describe Shurva, your character?
I am a fairly young-looking woman, about 17, quite short compared to Mako. I have one side of my head shaved, and the rest of my hair is tied up in the traditional firebender style. I'm wearing proper armor, and at my side is a whip coiled up.
And the whip,
Cool.
I think you said it has 3 tips that are coated in silver, wasn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
like little silver
3
blades.
silver tips. And
Yeah.
next to the whip is like a small flask of oil.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
So yeah, you guys, the 4 of you are sort of looking up as Haz's character, who hasn't said his name yet. I mean, I hand over you guys. Yeah, you've seen what you will look like. I've brought you guys across to a little map. I will bring the stream across that map as well, so that they can see what you see.
What are you 5 young folks doing with these Dai Li fools?
Wasn't really on a purpose. Kind of fell
Does
into
it
the whole
l-
situation, you could say.
Does it look like we're like with them?
We
Well,
per se?
ask you, Pang. Why would we be captured by Dai Li? Thought they meant to be with us in the Earth Kingdom.
Oh,
You wouldn't have to know anything about this being upper echelon.
this was definitely not told to me by my father. He would not have allowed this to happen. I think the Dai Li are up to something. I thought it was the Fire Nation attacking at first, but then I realized they were earthbending.
Do you want to see the Fire Nation attack? I'll show you the Fire Nation attack.
I've seen what you could do. There's no chairs here. I'm safe from you.
It's okay. It makes sense why we're taking this part so easily. Earth Nation's the best warriors everywhere, ever. Strong.
So, for the 4 of you, it kind of
Sure
doesn't
they are,
look
buddy.
like Haz's character has come and saved you. Haz, you came across these guys being attacked by buzzard wasps, and you were able to drive them away. And you have no love for Dai Li, and seeing that they had people in a cage, you were more than willing to sort of like help take out the last of the Dai Li and then open up the cage. Also, probably in your mind, you're like, they could have valuable supplies in that metal box. Have a quick scavenge.
Metal trades to the beetle-headed merchants very richly.
Yes, it does indeed. So the large box could be a bit tricky to transport by foot. So probably, yeah, you're thinking at this point, if you want to take that with you, you're probably going to need to start.
Definitely do. Now,
bending
you
them over to-
young folks, I'll make you a deal. I will help you through the desert as you're now well out of your depth. You're wearing furs and you're wearing obviously decorative armor. If you help me get this metal to the beetle-headed merchants, I will get you out of here alive. I can't speak for your simple-headed friend over there, but the rest of you...
Just the
I
metal?
can-
We don't,
yeah,
need that, we don't need that chest over there?
no, the chest and its contents are fine to stay more or less where they
Cool.
are.
Cool. As long as we're all on the same page with that, we're okay.
No, we should probably save the idiot.
Yeah, you're talking about me. If one of you could please untie me, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
We said save, we didn't say untie.
He begins trying to like worm across the ground. I'm gonna find a sharp rock and free myself. He then cuts his arm on a rock and goes, "Oh, I'm injured again."
I sandbend a little wave of sand to sort of carry him onto my sand sailor.
Yeah, so at this point, your sand sailors, you had seen this from afar, and these rocky sections that you've come across. So I should describe the area that you're in. Definitely in the desert, but there are a series of rocky outcroppings here. Looking back, you can see that the edge of the water of the river is quite a distance away. And on top of that, you can now see fire and smoke rising from the Beifong summer estate. The unmistakable signs of firebenders and Fire Nation soldiers clashing with potential other guards. How do you pronounce your name, just out of interest? Is it I?
Aye.
You have had to abandon your sand sailor just through the rocky outcropping. There's a series of tents set up just along the pathway towards the south, and you had to abandon your sand sailor there to get to this section where you saw the Dai Li and the captives moving through.
Right, that would make sense.
That's not too far.
Well, then I sand wave him over to us, so he stops wriggling around like a little grub.
Like a little grub. Oh, it's all in my pants. I hate it.
Said. It's rough in its course, so it gets everywhere.
It's rough in its course, and it gets everywhere.
I look very offended at the insult to my precious sand.
Yeah, so I would say this is the first time you guys have probably, since any of you have seen a sandbender. So I is wearing the traditional sandbender outfits, the very layered, light-colored cloths, as well as it seems to be some sort of specialty hood that's very dark on the inside that he sort of keeps up and keeps his face shaded from the sun, keep his white hair intact without burning his poor little old man noggin. And he has a symbol on his belt, a slightly different version of the earthbending symbol that you've seen before, the large square with the set square lines. The lines at the bottom look to be far more warped and twisted, almost like a little bit like waterbender style. So it seems to be some sort of special symbol that he has adapted from his from the Earth Kingdom's sigil. And apart from that, there's a few sort of items he's wearing that seem like they could be remnants of maybe a warrior's or a guard's uniform. You probably would still have your braces. You would still have the pauldrons and the lower shin guards, because they are functional in the desert, even if they are the color, the dark green, has been stripped off for just this now dull brown sand color, the leather. And you are seeing I very, very masterfully begin sandbending the dick Pung along the ground as he's like sort of wriggling, trying to get out of the grip of the sand as I just begin sort of twisting and moving it along to pull Pung with him.
Can I use my suspicious mind?
Yeah.
Okay. Roll with.
You don't trust the sandbender?
I don't really trust anyone right now, to be honest.
That's fair.
Marco, don't give me that.
So you're using your one of your special techniques, correct? Isn't it?
Yeah.
Let me quickly. Yeah. So it's one of your special moves.
One of my special moves.
So suspicious mind. When you watch a person carefully to figure them out, roll with focus, and you can kind of figure out what they're doing and what they're up to.
Yeah.
And you've got your questions there. So yeah, do you want to roll with focus, and then so you can just click the focus, the dice next to the focus, and we'll see what you get. 9, mixed success. So you get to ask one of the questions there. You can basically ask: is he telling the truth? What's he truly feeling? What does he really want right now? What's he worried about, or what is he up to? Otherwise, any question you can think of as well.
I would like to ask him, what do you really want right now?
You have to answer honestly.
At this immediate point, or more general, what do I want for the rest of my remaining days?
It's up to you to interpret that how you wish. You can answer immediately and then give a vague answer about the rest of your days if you wish.
Right now, I would like a hand loading this metal back onto my sand sailor.
Yep.
After that, I think I'd like to find a nice place to settle down and have a nice cup of tea.
He is telling the truth, Shurva. It does seem like his goal is not misaligned with yours. When he offered that deal of, look, I'll get you to safety out of the desert if you help me with this massive metal contraption, that was an honest deal. You don't get the sense that he's being duplicitous. You think there's probably more to his goals than just having a cup of tea, but you don't get any nefarious or no nefarious vibes from I. He does seem to be an old grizzled man, probably a little bit starved of company potentially. It doesn't look like he spends a lot of time with other people. His mannerisms and the way he talks is quite blunt. Someone who's a bit unaccustomed to long conversations. So you get the sense that could be a little bit lonely as well.
Okay. I'd like to just touch Mako's arm and then quietly mention to him, I think he's telling the truth. He doesn't mean any harm to us. We should help him, but stay on guard.
I just nod my head. And yeah, I walk forward and try to assess how we're going to move the metal.
Yeah, so you can see it is this massive metal container, but the walls are not particularly thick. It doesn't look like the walls are like plate. It's more like sheet metal, so it's only a couple of centimeters thick. So potentially it could be something you could do to shift those, to move it. Maybe a combination of some earth bending. I is already sort of sand bending, getting the sand to move around it, which is moving it very, very slowly.
What's it going to go on to? Like, how
you don't know yet. He's said something. He's mentioned sand sailor, but he hasn't gone into any more detail than that, and none of you are familiar with what that is.
Oh, and
you say the word stern sailor a fair bit. I've lost my voice now. It's now American. You say the word stern sailor a fair bit right now. Old man who's so wise with the ways of tiny rocks. But where do we put it, and how far do I got to take to put it?
I look at him like he's kind of stupid for not knowing obviously basic necessities of life, like what a sand sailor is.
Yeah, this is pretty basic shit you need to survive in the desert. The fact that he's asking this question is a bit embarrassing for him. Yeah.
He looks very confident in himself as well.
It's my transport through the desert. It's over these rocks, a ways back. How big it is? Roughly sand sailor size, I suppose.
I would say that you know your sand sailor is roughly sort of 8-9 meters long, 2.5 meters wide.
Like I said, sand sailor sized.
Sand sailor sized.
Rung wants to aim to just like, if it's because like a big sort of like a big rectangle cube, so I think he wants to like get like a sheet of. Excuse me. He wants to get like a sheet of rock every time to like hit the top corner of it and just like tip it and boom like that and just try and go choom boom and just like use rock sheet to go. Just keep rolling it over, if possible.
Okay. Yeah, no, absolutely, that would work. Would you like to roll me with skills and training? Would you like to make your first roll with skills and training? As you two begin working together to try and shift this large metal container. No one has untied Pung, so he is still hogtied.
Good.
we expect us to act
cage
upon
when we
that
do
because
this.
we're not going to.
I'm just telling you what you see. Rung, can I get you to roll with skills and training as well, please? I has rolled a 5, which is a failure.
Did it not go through? Oh, it didn't go through. Okay, let me try again.
That's all right. Sometimes Roll20 does weird things. Bree, the two of you, as you begin pushing on this large metal container, you are really, really struggling. It is incredibly heavy. Every time you try and tip it, you're actually kind of working against each other. As Rung goes to tip it, I is then moving the sand, which just causes it to slip and fall back down. As then I goes to twist it forwards with the sand, Rung just throws a rock at it, which knocks it off course a little bit. So it's becoming really difficult to move this thing with the two of you not working in tandem. I'm going to get each of you to mark 1 fatigue, as you both struggle in the hot sun to move this without much success.
You said
This is impossible.
Or you can mark
Do you know
foolish
anything
if
about
you wish as
earthbending?
well.
I mark
You wouldn't have
foolish.
to be a master earthbender, would you be, Pung?
You can choose to take a fatigue or mark foolish. The way conditions and fatigue work is in combat, a lot of the stuff you do uses fatigue, but conditions and fatigue together kind of are a bit of an indication of your health. When you have marked all your conditions, you are unconscious. You are taken out. You're not killed. This is Avatar: The Last Airbender. Anyone who's killed has ambiguously done so. Yeah. but not being knocked unconscious, very possible to do. So yeah.
I'll take foolish.
Conditions. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm feeling very silly after that display in front of the young people.
Yeah, and the way you can clear conditions. To clear foolish, you could take a foolhardy action without talking to your companions. It's the easiest way to clear foolish.
What's the hardest way?
The hardest way
foolish.
is to try and amuse people with your foolish acts. So to try and like be so foolish that people respect you for it. That's what Andrew's been doing his whole life. Has that worked for you, Andrew?
No.
I respect him.
They're like mom.
Okay.
Kinda.
But yeah, so the sun is now getting quite hot inside the metal cage. Strangely, you hadn't really been affected too much. You can see a tarp had been positioned over parts of the metal cage that you were in, this metal canister to protect you from the heat of the sun. It looks like the Dai Li didn't want you dead, but now that you are out in the open, it is getting very hot. My question is, what are you guys doing?
I have an idea, and let me know if this sounds really stupid, but
I'm in.
Of course you are. Can we, like, I don't think the metal thing, it's not like on top of any rocks or anything. It's like quite firmly in the sand, isn't it?
It's just lightly on top of the sand, because I and Rung have been maneuvering it and trying to push it. So it's just sitting on the surface of the sand at this point.
Okay, well, can we get a rock slab either under it, or if you can't, can we get it next to it? And can we use sand bending to get tarp under it, and then between all of us we can lift it up onto the rock slab, and then you should be able to move the rock slab to where we need to take it, right? I don't really
Sounds
know
like a
how
good
bending
idea.
works, but
This
I
one
do-
is
I-
smarter than the rest of you.
I do like it when the
me,
non-bender...
apparently.
Stand at it.
I like it when old men compliment me.
Not creepy at all.
I like it when the non-bender tells benders how to do their job and is actually
Yeah.
giving better ideas than the benders
Yeah,
were
yeah,
doing.
yeah.
I like it.
Well, that's why I ended it with, can we? Like, I
You
don't
would
know
make a
what
great
you
said the city was
forewoman
on
in
fire,
their
yeah.
minds. Have you ever picked up ever wanted a job and working with coal before? You'd go great forewoman down there.
Unfortunately, I can't. I'm bound to this guy.
I have a much
Well, you can-
heavier burden.
Yeah.
You could be second captain to me.
This burden is a lot heavier than any coal you can throw at me. Like, I'm sorry. My shoulders are already breaking.
I'm just in this conversation. I'm just like making a slab.
Yeah, so
It's
I mean,
like
from the
gonna have,
cliff
like,
face next to you,
my-
it's very
my
easy to
face on
bend
there.
out.
Do we need to roll any skills and training or anything
No,
like that
with-
to be able to
with
do this?
With all of you working together and working as a team, with the previous failure now sort of weighing on your minds, with all of you working together, you are able to, with Rung and I earthbending out this slab, Marco, Oki, and Shurva, you two sort of pulling back on the cage to get the large rock slab underneath it, and then pushing it forwards and pivoting it on. It doesn't take too much effort. Your plan is really well laid out. With all of you working together, it's not too much of an issue to get this large metal container on top of the stone. And then Rung and I, it's a very simple thing for you guys to just start earthbending together. You focusing on the sand, Rung, you focusing on the rock, to begin pulling this large metal cage with you. So yeah, absolutely. It is now coming along for the ride with you.
Sorry, I was just thinking. When I ask Pung, does he know when you're earthbending at all?
Earthbending? No, I'm not a bender.
Oh, we would not cool if we were.
That's
I
what
will-
my
I wanna
father
put
would
him in
always
the-
say to me. He said he'd love me more if I was.
I would too.
I give that man a hug and his hogtied. His hogtied. It's okay, little man.
I really don't like physical contact. But if you could untie me,
My power.
you could untie me. Oh God! If you could untie me while you're there, that would be great.
Tell
Is
me-
he
Tell me
still
the greatest
on
joke
the
you
ground?
know,
Yeah,
and
he's
I
on the hot
will let you
sands.
go.
Okay.
Just because it's so hot. Tell me a really good pun, and I'll let you go, Pung.
Oh, a really good pun. I don't know any off the top of my head. Could you just let me go anyway, and I will think of one in thanks.
top of your head. The sun. Think you did it, guys. You got this. Shall I let him go?
No.
Oh,
What just happened? What just
I
happened?
tried. Apparently the pun needs to be a lot better for me to let you go, man. It's okay.
The fact that like Rung is the one who's like, no, that was a really good play on words, man. Like, no.
That was awful.
Doesn't take much to amuse him.
It was the worst pun ever.
I will, however, roll him onto the top, and I'll grab the top and drag him along behind us. I'm not gonna leave him out here to die, but he can stay tied up.
I appreciate you not leaving me behind, but seriously, why the fuck aren't you untying me?
Because you're so much safer. Trust me, you are so much safer where you cannot do harm to yourself.
Exactly.
Shurva, the gag is still around his neck,
flies.
just so you know.
Group decision. Zeitgeist and everything, can't do it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah. Thanks.
So, Marco, you head behind and pull his gag back over the mouth.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I also grabbed the chest.
As you
I
gag
also
him
grabbed the
once
chest that he was in and put it on top of the metal sheets.
Yeah, it's not that heavy. Yeah, it's just a wooden chest. Yeah, you just chuck it on top of the metal. Yeah, absolutely.
And you said the city was on fire, yeah?
Not the city. So Ba Sing Se, you can see the wall, the outer wall of Ba Sing Se.
Okay, I thought you said sorry.
The Beifong estate, you can see smoke rising from.
Yep.
You can see smoke rising from the Beifong estate, and it is clear that something is going down there.
Cool.
Best be off now. Sunlight's burning.
Not as much as the passing said.
Feel that. So do we just push it towards the sand scooty? The sand scooter?
Yeah. So you guys can.
Sailor.
The sand mobility scooter.
This is like coming down the highway. Out of my way, I need chips.
I got stronger engine today.
Yeah. Get out of my way, young whippersnappers. So you guys can continue. You can start moving south. I'm happy to move your tokens for the moment if you want, but then it's all up to you guys.
Is that the top?
So I've used that to indicate the cage. I might make it one bigger so it's nice and big.
Very good.
Yeah, that's about right.
Cool. Spooky cage. Very Halloween.
Spooky cage. Yeah, I broke it open so that we can have the effect of breaking out of a cage. As you guys begin heading through this narrow passage of rock through the desert, you can see the landscape around you is barren and windswept and dry. The few plants that live here look to be hardy. You can see a number of grasses actually move as you get close. They pull and withdraw inside these large stalks of wood. The blades of grass sort of keeping away from any movement and the predators that would feed on them. I should say the herbivores that would feed on them in this dry landscape. The few scraggly trees that exist here cast very little shade. The desert is hot and barren. In the distance, as you round one of the larger corners of rock, you can see a number of tents set up in the distance. These red tattered tents, just off towards a narrow fissure between two large outcroppings of rock. And this is where you parked your sand sailor. Very sort of similar to where you first found and salvaged your sand sailor, an old abandoned campsite, probably once used for trading or for spending the night out of the hot sands of the desert. But immediately you can tell something's not quite right. You can hear the sound of voices coming from the direction of the camp, and the sound of cloth being rustled in the wind, when you know for a fact you had stowed your sails up. They were not left out to catch the wind.
Hold it there. There's danger afoot.
Danger.
There's varmints at my caravan.
This camp should be abandoned. I left it that way not long ago. Look, honestly, anyone we meet out here isn't going to be a friend to any of you, and they're probably not going to be a friend to me. So, it's a stretch, but I could probably teach you how to walk like a sandbender, and we can try and disguise you into here and do some sort out who it is. One of you, maybe?
Well, I'm good with rocks, so tiny rocks should be no problem. But I just like chuck it around my foot, make like a foot of sand. Yeah, that's it, isn't it? He starts like gathering all the sand up around his feet.
Yeah. Do that, absolutely.
Yeah, so I'd like to use my walk this way thing to try and teach Rung a bit how to walk like he's from the desert, so we could stroll up there and not look like we don't belong in the desert.
Not immediately give you away. Yeah, so you can do it to all of them. You can coach your friends. I would say these guys count as your friends. So
cool.
Walk this way. When you make over, disguise and/or coach your friends to fit in with a specific crowd, appropriate to one of your backgrounds. Absolutely. You roll with creativity. So you can roll with creativity for me. And there is actually a thing down the bottom, the little dice icon next to that, which you can just roll straight away.
Ooh.
You've nailed it.
Well,
13 full success from I. You're a man of the world. You have spent a lot of time traveling, a lot of time fitting in with different groups. You're very comfortable with the idea of blending in. It has served you well throughout your life, being able to blend in very quickly to a group of people. And as such, you're very quick and very able and competent in teaching these guys what they need to know to help survive the desert. You point out, without really explaining too much of why, you point out that it's very important not to walk with a steady gait when you're on the sand, to try and mix up your footsteps a little bit, to have a bit of a non-rhythmic pattern, a mixed up pattern to your footsteps. You talk through the importance of keeping your head, face, hands shaded as much as possible, because that's where you're going to lose the most moisture from. Teaching them how to keep their clothes wrapped around them, keep them safe from the wind, the sand, how to spot particular sand dangers. Again, without going into too much detail, you tell them to be on the lookout for things like ripples or waves in the sand, any buzzing noises. Angry buzzing sound like a large hornet is always a bad sign. But most importantly, a little bit of the sandbenders lingo is what you teach them as well. But your ability to teach them is flawless. They are all within a few sort of minutes walking and talking like sandbenders with your instruction and with a few pointers from you. They're able to adopt these disguises quite well. Except, of course, for the fact that all of them are wearing pretty nation-specific clothing because they were there for a summit. They've been dressed up in the typical outfits of their people. So, I mean, they do stand out a little bit in that regard. But their behavior, spot on. And probably you would have some spare clothes and scarves and things like that you could lend them, some cloaks to just chuck on and hide a little bit of their more obvious features, or show them how to sort of, like, if you turn this cloak inside out, it's now just grey. Grey's better than bright red in this case.
I throw a little like shoulder around the young waterbender. Tell the Fire Nation too that we hit a caravan. We salvaged your armor. The Earthbender guy should fit in well enough.
How?
I just put some more sand in my green to make it
Just
beige.
whip some sand up. Just
Rub it in.
The tarp we have, is it like really big, or is it just big enough to drag the dude along?
So the tarp would be to cover the top of the cage, which means it is roughly 8 by 6 meters. So it is fairly decent. It's pretty big.
I grab my sword and make a poncho out of it.
So now
poncho.
Now Pung is just hogtied on the sand as you create a poncho out of this
That's
other
fine.
tarp.
I try to make two out of it so that there's one
Wow.
for
Marco.
one for Shurva.
Marco, while your sword is out, could you?
He's
Oh, sorry, he's gagged. Sorry. Thank you. Yeah. So
I try to cut two out because we're going to stand out the most with Fire Nation.
You could make 2
so
ponchos
try to
out of that, Mark. I'm going to tell you right now. In fact, you could probably make 3 or 4. If a
Done.
poncho is
As
only a
many as
meter
I
by a
can make.
meter, yeah, you can just make ponchos for everyone, because a meter by a meter poncho is enough to cover most of your chest and torso. Legs is going to give you away a little bit, but
You get a poncho.
You get
So,
a poncho.
do you want to roll me, Marco, to see how good you do creating this poncho? I think this is not really relying on skills and training. I suspect we're now looking at more tricking an NPC. You're trying to create a disguise. Could you please roll me as if you're tricking an NPC, please? Tricking a character.
As he's doing that,
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I would like to go over to Oki and take her hair out and pull it down into like some braids or something like that, similar to what sand people would have.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
And I
Marco.
pull my own hair out, so it's just flat.
Look.
Yeah, absolutely. Oki, if you let her do that, Shurva does braid your hair into a much more sort of utilitarian earthbending style. Your little hair loopies, as they're called. And
It's not the
Shurva, you do the
lowest
same
it could have
thing.
been.
Marco, is that a
Not the
2?
lowest- It's not the lowest it could have been, so we're fine.
How do you roll a 2 on 2d6?
Is that not? That is the lowest you can roll?
Nope, I can get a
Yeah.
1.
Oh, you have a negative
He's
one.
minus
A
1.
negative.
As soon as I saw
Marco.
as soon as I saw creativity, I'm like, oh no.
Oh dear. A 2 is impressive. It's impressively bad. The ponchos that Marco hands you look like they were created by a 2-year-old who had access to tissue paper. The cuts are all over the place. He's cut 2 head holes on some of them. One of them doesn't have a head hole cut. There's no head hole. It's just a sheet of tarp that he's like tied a little loop around part of it. They are atrocious. They are beyond bad. It's the worst piece of clothing you have ever seen in your lives, all of you. And as you look at this, you are filled with disappointment.
I use mine as a bandana.
Yeah. That's about all it's good for.
I'll go
for 2
first.
head holes, put an arm through one and my head through the other.
The one that Marco hands you, Shurva, is like 30 centimeters by 30 centimeters. It's like a doll's poncho. His idea of sizing is just
bib.
way off. He's like a male video game designer designing female NPC costumes. It's just 30 centimeters of material, and he's handed it to you. Bit of topical
no.
bants for you.
Yikes.
Blizzard.
Truly,
Is it bad enough that you will mark him foolish?
Sorry, 110% Marco feels foolish. Sorry. Absolutely.
He's a genius.
Yeah, it is atrociously bad.
I can now get a -1 on trick.
Okay, I see what you've written. Do you want to read out what you do?
Just while all this is going on, Oki does feel a little bit bad for Peng, and so she sort of just drags him into the shade of some rock so that he doesn't become like a Peng jerky.
What is Pang wearing?
Big jerky.
So Pang is wearing a very elegant dark green suit with the symbol of the Earth Kingdom, that large circle with the square cut out of the center. He has slippers on, not designed for walking on anything rougher than gentle marble. He is so woefully unprepared for the desert. It's not funny. His clothing is very heavy, but it's not very covering. So it's this suit made of very thick material, but it doesn't cover his shoulders very well. His sleeves are bare, so he's got his arms exposed, a little bit like Rung does on his fan art.
I know you're trying to make us feel bad for this person, but
No, I'm just describing what he wears.
I'm also wondering if there's any way I can fashion his clothing into something better for myself than what
You could
I've
just
been
take his
thinking.
jacket off and wear it as a hat, like problem solved. You can tie it into like a rough sort of turban. Marco has made a poncho for Pung, but it's just a sack.
Perfect.
The bag.
He's getting upgraded from being dragged along to
Just a
tossed
bag.
over a shoulder.
Yeah, upgraded.
This
So
one
we have an
can be
upgrade for you.
merchandise.
Your ticket has made you
Does
eligible
he
for an
have
upgrade. We're
any
now
kind of,
stuffing in the
like,
sack.
Cape or anything like that on?
No, it's a suit that he's wearing only. Very, very formal dinner suit, but no sleeves, just
Okay.
the bare arms.
What we could do is we could mix some water and mud together and try to disguise some of the clothing that we currently have. Potentially.
Yeah.
Cover ourselves in sandy mud.
Okay.
Aside,
Brilliant.
just a side thought, guys. See this water in my bending thing? This is literally all we have between my
Oh.
bending and our necessity to drink water to survive.
I
Oh,
do.
Okay, I have plenty of spit. He starts spitting on the ground. He's like, everyone, quick, join in.
Isn't
Plenty
it?
of very juicy cactuses in this desert.
Yeah, you know that there's a number of species of cacti in the desert that you can get drinking
All
water
very
out of.
quenchy. They're the
It's-
quenchiest.
Yeah, the quenchiest.
The quenchiest.
It's very
It's a
important not to
quench.
drink it straight, though. Please don't share this with the group. The group don't hear this. But you know that you need to render the water from them. You need to boil
Naturally.
it. You cannot just drink the
Unless
sap.
you're in for a good time.
Powerful hallucinogen. You've done it a number of times. You've just drunk the sap when you've been really bored, or
It's the quenchiest.
it's the quenchiest, yeah. But yeah, if you want to get safe drinking water from the cactuses of the desert, you need to render it. But a waterbender shouldn't have any trouble extracting water from a cactus. Got a waterbender with you. Shouldn't be too hard for them to be able to pull the moisture from the plant.
Okay, how good are you at pulling moisture from things? Because rumor has it the human body is 70% water, and we have a pretty useless human body sitting right there.
His water is now the
Right.
tribe's water.
I was just gonna say his water belongs to the tribe.
Didn't take
his
long
body-
for Lord of the Flies to kick in here, guys.
This is Dune now. We've gone full Dune. His body belongs to the desert, but his water belongs to the tribe.
We're gonna kill a man.
As he starts trying to worm
absolutely a
away
thing.
from you.
You absolutely can manipulate water inside others. Big taboo, generally not allowed to do it. Can generally only do it on a full moon because it's
But also,
It's a good question. Oki, would you know about bloodbending? I don't think you would. Not yet. That is a pretty... It's something that is so taboo it's not spoken about. I don't think you would know about bloodbending.
in which case I can't pull it from people unless they pee, and that's a little bit gross. I've heard that you might be able to pull it from plants, but I grew up on the North Pole, where there's literally an endless supply of water. I can try.
You're just like so hopefully optimistic about the idea of pulling water from a human body. You just have this like innocent look of, I can try. If it makes you happy, I'll do it.
just over there, like Marco's sword, like a mine on the altar, just like raising sacrifice.
Remember when I said we wanted to try and keep the vibe in line with Avatar: The Last Airbender? I just want you to know,
It's
in
one of
case
those,
you
like,
weren't
quick
aware,
cuts.
this is not. We're not that. We're about as far from that as you can get. Talking about drinking people is about as far from Avatar: The
don't
Last
worry.
Airbender.
I was having the thought of if we dehydrate the body, then that's not a good snack.
I'm just seeing the logical leaps we've gone from to just cover ourselves in mud.
If Pung could speak right now, he would be.
Depravity.
If Pung could speak right now, he would have a pun for you, but unfortunately he's gagged, so he just has to go.
Oh, what a shame.
What a shame. Guys, I think we're going too far with this. I think we might just walk up to these people at this stage.
Alright, let's
Yes.
go.
Okay,
I'll go
yeah.
first. You guys follow behind. Just remember what I taught you.
I pick up the sack of Pung and hold it over my shoulder.
If anyone asks, that's merchandise.
He is heavy. You are dragging him on the sand, so throw him over your shoulder like a sack of potatoes. The human body is not that light. Ali, yep.
Good idea. I have my oar. Can we tie the sack sort of in multiple parts to the oar and then have one over each of our shoulders?
Yes. Yes, you can.
Like
the
a hobo's
Okay. Yeah.
like some fucked up Peter Pan thing where you're like taking a kid but
Yes.
tied up to an oar. Yeah.
That's exactly
We're
it.
taking you to Neverland, Pung.
Oh boy.
This guy's
have
gonna
to know,
be
boys.
I tell you what. I was hoping to pick up a sponsor for this. I feel our pool of sponsors dwindling as rapidly as the water you have available for this desert outing.
No, that's a chance. Raycon will sponsor anyone. Don't worry.
That's true. Raycon and Raid Shadow Legends will sponsor anything.
Hey, we like
Sweat
space.
space.
NordVPN.
NordVPN.
We need to cover this up.
Yeah. We're giving them free advertising. I'm cutting all of those names. It's just going to be beeped out. I'm going to beep them out, and then when you sponsor us those beep locations, then you can hear yourselves be sponsored by the
Or
show.
like, oh, you mean like redacted? Use promo code redacted.
Use promo code sponsor us now, you selfish pricks, and get 10% off your next Raycon. So I'll be cutting all of that because I don't want that. It's all cut. But yeah, so you guys,
Anyway.
it's short work to take some rope and tie Pung's sack between the oar, and now Oki and Shurva, you are holding Pung in the sack. He is wriggling. He's making noises. Did you hear you say that they should introduce it as more merchandise?
Yeah, if anyone asks, he's merchandise.
Right,
Well, what's in the sack
fantastic.
is merchandise.
I
Fantastic.
very quietly say to Pong, if you don't keep quiet, we're probably all going to get killed. So please, for the love of everything, stop moving.
Plead with an NPC, please, Shurva, because you have done nothing but make this guy's life a misery. Your entire
It's always the
interaction with
option.
this man has been actual torture.
Yeah, true.
There's always an option
Okay.
of a pun as well. Pun.
What's my harmony? Oh, -1. Okay. This is probably
Fantastic, as it should be, because you have
As it should be.
you should have 1. That is appropriate. A 1. Is that's amazing. You've actually rolled the lowest possible, which I think is about right. The dice gods have rewarded your treatment of Pung with an appropriate roll. Pung begins screaming through the gag.
Smallest roll you can get.
You hear from inside the bag as he screams through the.
Pung, Pung, Pung. If you don't quiet, you'll be the first to be gone.
That sounds like an intimidation.
Yeah.
Could you please roll me an intimidate check, Mark?
Wait.
12 for
Hey.
success.
Oh my god, yes!
He goes completely still and silent. I was going to say you have a plus to this because you have talked in earshot of him about drinking him, about drying him out and eating him as jerky. I mean, he's. I will say at this point, without any sort of insight check required, he is terrified of you guys.
As you should be.
Yeah, but yeah, he's tied up in a sack and he goes still and doesn't make any more noise for the moment.
That's what I thought, Pung. Now, shall we?
Alright, moving on in.
Yeah,
Alright,
as you guys
walk
begin,
as I walk, say as I say, do as I do.
as
Shuffle,
yeah,
shuffle,
What
shuffle
you
for
do?
sand. It is kind of uncomfortable though, isn't it? Getting sand on your toes all day. Anyway, sand people, sand
course.
people. It's what I do. I'm a
Everyone.
sand people.
Flame you, hot man.
You have heard that is the cool thing Fire Nation soldiers say to each other. You have heard Flameo Hot Man is the correct sort of like greeting. It's fairly recent. It's only been out in the last couple of like year or so, but you've heard it. But yeah, you guys begin heading through the narrow gap between these two large stones. As you emerge from behind the large red hexagonal tent, tattered holes carved through it, you can see in front of you a pretty intense sight. For Marco, Oki, Rung, and Shurva, this is the first time you've ever seen a sand sailor. What you see before you is a large wooden ship with a massive cloth sail strung between two large poles and then a second smaller sail on a bit of an angle to that. It is parked on a series of light sandy patches, and in front of you, you can now see the Siwong Desert stretching before you, rolling sand dunes as far as the eye can see, the blistering hot desert sun beating down on you. That's what you first see. What you second see is two groups of sandbenders who are angrily talking amongst themselves and pointing at this large sand ship. You can see one of them has moved to the front of the boat and is scraping away at some caked-on mud, revealing the name of the ship, the name of the sand sailor, which is the Dauntless. You didn't know that it had a name carved in it. It's been so caked in mud, and when you salvaged it, you had no interest in displaying its original name. But yeah, you can hear them talking in quite angry tones. Their sand sailor is just out of sight of the map where you guys are. It's just towards the south, parked just nearby. It looks like they saw the sand sailor from a distance and have come over to investigate, and are a little bit angry, a little bit cross about what they're seeing in front of them.
I hobble over. Blessings of the desert on you, tribesmen.
The leads, this sort of larger man dressed in the very typical sandbender clothes with these white shades that cover most of his eyes, leaving only a slit of black for him to look through, turns towards you and goes, "Who are you? What do you want?"
I of tribe Ningguao. I'm just coming back from collecting this here salvage to my sand sailor. What business have you with my belongings?
Your belongings? So this is your sand sailor then, is it?
Yes, I obtained it legally
Because I know for
by
a
our
fact,
laws.
I know for a fact my cousin said some dickhead stole his sand sailor, leaving him stranded in the desert for 4 days. He's not the same. Something broke in him. I've been looking for the arsehole responsible. I'm guessing that's you then. And who are these? Your accomplices?
And points to the rest of you guys.
No, these are just some
I'm second skipper captain of the boat of the
second
sand.
skipper captain of the boat of sand.
Yes,
what?
as all sand people will understand and know, of course. Now this
What-
here is
what
our
he
dauntless
said?
vessel. Must be like another boat you've seen before somewhere that cruises sand.
Question.
Probably not the one you're thinking of. And I turn to like not the boat you're looking
these
for.
are not the droids you're looking for.
It's a much-
You don't want to
it
sell
does
me
happen
death
this
sticks.
scene.
I don't want to sell you death
Rethink your
sticks.
life choices.
You want to rethink your life choices. These aren't the
No,
droids you're looking for.
We
I know
found
that.
this sand sailor abandoned in the desert. No word of your cousin. I feel terrible for his mishap. It is an egregious crime to rob one of their sand sailor.
Egregious crime indeed. Something that compensation should be paid for, I think. Don't you?
Yes, undoubtedly to the person who did it, which is not me. Definitely not me.
Could you make me a trick and NPC, please?
Yeah, sure.
Just so you know, Brandon, your webcam has cut out and it now says EOS webcam utility with an unplugged cable.
It's probably gone flat.
Rough.
A little puppy dog that happened to also be named Cora may have destroyed the plug on his original webcam.
That is entirely something that is possible.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, you're
Okay,
back.
there
We
we
can see.
go.
Although you're
There we're
very,
back.
very... There we go.
Oh, sorry, it's a whole big shit.
You are so zoomed in. Yeah, so... oh no, is that a 6, Has?
Yeah.
He looks towards you.
I think we can cut the bullshit, don't you? You're old enough to know that if you want to live here, survive in the desert, you know what battles to pick, when you can win, and when you can lose. There are 6 of us, and only 5 of you. Children and an old man, do you really want to fight us? I think you should hand over that salvage there,
Points towards the large metal cage.
and that sack of goods.
Points towards the sack containing
I'm happy to hand that one over.
containing park.
And we can be on our way. Of course, we'll be taking back our sand sailor.
Well, you could just have the sack if you want. It's
Yeah, you
quite
can
right.
take the sack if you want. Like,
It's actually quite heavy, to be honest. It's loud.
Quite valuable. Yeah, at that, I straightens up. He loses his like sort of a hunched over old man routine, and is like, you are right, young man. I do know exactly which fights to pick, which is why your cousin lost his sand sailor, and he had that coming, I might add.
As you say that, he goes,
It's been a while since we had a bit of a workout. All right, boys, get him. One's hiding behind the ship. Don't forget to take her out first.
and with that, no more moving about on the map for the moment. We are going to launch into combat as you see the sandbenders begin taking up poses. Now, we did combat a little bit incorrectly last session, but that's okay because we're all learning how to play and it's our first time we get in there. We're going to do it correctly tonight. So, to make my life easy, rather than having 6 individual sandbenders, I have combined them into 2 groups of 3, which is apparently a much easier way to run this. Already, I'm happy with that. Secondly, the way that we work with the combat is when you guys roll. So when you pick your type of combat approach, your approach in combat, basically whether you're going to be defending, whether you're going to be where's the thing? So it's defend and maneuver, whether you're going to be advancing and attacking, or whether you're going to be evading and observing. You pick that, then you roll, and depending on the number you roll, you pick a number of actions combined with basic actions, basic combat actions, or special techniques. So the NPCs, I already know what they're going to do. So my question is, all of you can work as a group. You can discuss this. So Bree, Brandon, Ali, Andrew, you can discuss what you want to do. each of you will then come up with what you want to do within that framework, and then we will resolve the combat piece by piece. So my question is, what would you guys like to do?
Well, we need the vote, right?
Yeah, I think we only have one option.
Oh, and the stream has just awarded advantage. So, stream points. Dragon has given advantage to Marco. Marco, you have an advantage. I'll take a note of it. You may spend it when you wish.
Yay!
So let me know when you want to spend that advantage.
Does
so
he
the
have
stream
to let you know before he rolls?
No,
Dragon could be
it's
the
fine.
hero of this stream.
So there's channel points you can spend to award advantage, disadvantage, and things like that. And you can also summon things as well. So anyone who's a fan of the show Avatar, if there's an animal or a thing you want to summon, you can spend channel points to summon it for these guys to have to fight. So free to go nuts with that sort of shit. I love it. It just makes life really interesting for them. Summon as a pet.
Summon upper?
I summon an air bison.
Lol.
Yeah,
Do you want one?
My question is, what are you guys doing? So remember, you can discuss as a team, decide what you want to do, and then we'll play it out.
Okay, so
And I'll put some
stay in
battle
the way
music
of
on while you
boat.
do.
We need boat, so we hit them to get boat.
Yep. I follow so far.
That's the plan.
Perfect.
That was the whole plan.
Yes.
I clue
Oh,
them in
pretty
that I
good.
have smoke bombs that I'm planning on using to scoot over to those rocks to the west.
Quickly use the smoke bombs, get on the sand sailor, and then quickly
And
sail
leave.
away.
But then we'll
How
lose the
tall is
salvage.
the sand sailor?
Then we do need the medal.
What was your question? Sorry, Bree.
How tall is the sand sailor?
So it's essentially imagine like a catamaran. So there's two large, almost like separate hulls, like a catamaran or like a like an ocean going, like a what's what I'm after? Like a raft that's got the two base sections that slice into the sand. The rest of it is up by probably a meter off the sand. And then the section itself, there's a small cabin at the far end underneath the sail that looks like it's got a bedroom and a kitchen and an area to sleep out of the sun. And then the rest of it is shade cloths and is semi-exposed to the elements.
Okay,
Good.
so hiding behind it was a dumb idea to start with.
Oh, not necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
If
I will
I
probably...
earthbend around sand. Sorry, I'll let you get your thing first.
Okay. I'll probably reposition to be between them and Marco. So, like, here.
So you'll sort of vault over and try and run over to intersperse yourself between them and Marco. Absolutely. So that kind of sounds like you're going for a bit of a defend and maneuver. So you're maneuvering yourself into position and
Yeah.
defending Marco, yeah?
Yeah,
all right, can I
so
get you
there
to
was-
roll with focus for me? And then we'll figure out what your moves are and we'll action them.
I think it was Caesar position, so the advance to a new location.
That's defend and maneuver, Caesar position.
Advantage and attack. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Should be defend and maneuver.
That's
No.
defend and maneuver Caesar's position.
Yeah.
I have advanced and attack Caesar position.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
me too.
The sheet might be wrong. Let me have a quick lookaroo because it's definitely
Mine's
not. I can-
advance and attack, yeah.
They updated it in patch 2.0.
Okay, no, they have. There's been about 3 or 4 versions of the
Oh,
what?
Start guide. They
What?
have. No. We're playing version. Let me look at like 1.6 or something like that of the quick start guide. So the full version hasn't come out yet. We're still playing the early advance. Okay, I can see here. So what it should say: ready, retaliate, and Caesar position are defend and maneuver. Strike, pressure, and smash are advance and attack. Test balance, bolster or hinder, and commit are evade and observe. It looks like this is the slightly older version of the
Right. Okay.
of the sheet. So fuck, it's gonna make life complicated. Do you guys have the cheat sheet that I sent you?
Grabbing that up
Yeah.
now.
I'm gonna send it to Haz
Find
in
it.
Facebook right now, so you've got your cheat sheet. Haz,
Thank
this is
you.
the cheat sheet of moves, so that you've got a copy of it. I'll send it to you right this second. I did not even think that they would have changed it that much for the thing that we would have to actually like compensate on our sheets. Did you? Sorry, I just see that you asked me the Oasis name. Yeah, Misty Palms Oasis.
I already solved it. Don't worry. You didn't have to expose that I didn't know anything about the desert.
Yeah, you don't need to. Your character knows.
fine.
Haz doesn't need to. There you go. I've sent you the cheat sheet, which has everything on it. Okay,
Cool.
so back in the zone.
Sorry.
So Shurva, you're going to do a defender maneuver. So you're going to seize a position. That's defender maneuver. Could I please have you roll me with focus? Mixed success. So you can pick. So the way that combat works that we got a little bit wrong last time. By we, I mean me. When you roll with a 7 to a 9, which in your case is an 8, you can use one basic or one mastered technique. So you can pick whether you want to do a basic technique. So that would be seize a position. So you are successful in that if that's what you wanted to do. So is that what you would like to do?
Yes.
So you're going to seize a position. All right, perfect. We'll discuss that when it comes up. Mako, Oki, Rung, and I. What are you guys thinking you're going to do?
Yeah, I'm probably going to toss a smoke bomb down at that closest group of. How do I ping?
If you just hold
press
left
and hold.
click.
Aha, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to toss a smoke bomb down on those. I'm thinking probably going to be a hinder or evade and observe.
Yeah, that would definitely be bolster or hinder. I'd say in this case you're going to apply a status of, I'd say stunned is the most appropriate for a smoke bomb. You're trying to stun them. You're going to catch them off guard, which will prevent them from acting or responding for a few seconds. So that's great. I'll write that down for you. So you're going to try and hinder them. Could I get you to, you can clear one fatigue if you wish. So I think you've taken a fatigue from trying to turn it over, so you can actually clear that. You can clear your fatigue.
No, I took foolish.
Oh, you took foolish. That's right. Sorry. So now roll with creativity or harmony, your choice. I would recommend whichever one's higher.
Creativity.
7, mixed success. So yeah, you're able to do this basic maneuver. Absolutely. So I'll make a note of that. So you're going to try and hinder them by stunning them with a smoke bomb.
Yep.
Alrighty. Mako, what are you thinking of doing? Mako, Oki, and Rung. Are you guys going to try and do something together, or are you going to try and stay separate and try and come up with your own things?
That group ahead of us here,
Yes.
I would like to pressure them by
pressure.
using
Okay.
my new sandy walkie boots to like scoot up my sand and like just like whip it at them and put some pressure on them and like try and like impress them with how good I'm with sand.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're trying to impress them with your new sand bending, sand bending maneuvers. Okay. Yeah. So you get to choose an approach that they. Sorry, we should roll with passion first. So would you like to roll me with passion?
Yes.
And we'll see if you are successful. So far,
Very
you guys have been rolling
passionate
pretty
about
well.
what I've learned.
You've been rolling well. Not too many failures. 8.
Yes.
Yeah. So you get to choose one of the advances, one of the approaches that they can take. So defend and maneuver, advance and attack, or invade and observe, and they can't take that on their next turn. So which one would you like them to?
They can't use advance and attack with that one then, just because it's
Perfect.
I'd like to believe I'm just gracefully scoot at them like on a skate ring, something like that, some like Blades of Glory type stuff.
Yeah.
We are
No, absolutely.
we are
We'll,
taking back at this poet.
We'll go through and describe each of these things in detail when we have the exchange. So that the way that this works is we sort of like very basically say what you're doing in the mechanics, and then as a group, I'm going to describe the whole exchange, and I'll be passing over to you guys when it's your turn to describe what your character does. Please go as nuts as you want, like go as much detail. If you have a catchphrase you can think of, absolutely, like "What a trap!" Always a classic, yeah. Or it's the quenchiest as you throw cactus juice at him. Yeah, it's always an option. Okay, Mako and Oki, are you guys going to try and work as a team, or are you just doing your own thing?
I'm gonna do my own thing.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry, because I don't know. I'm
Doesn't sound
gonna
very
move
sincere.
up towards this group here.
Yep.
And just get in front of them all and just block.
Okay, so you're going to try and defend and maneuver. So yeah, could you please roll me with focus?
God, why do I have no focus?
You guys have all been rolling pretty well tonight.
Okay.
7? Yeah. So you're going to try and get in the way. So you're trying to sort of, I guess, like, are you trying to ready yourself, or are you going to use one of your special abilities?
I'm gonna use my move so when I block, if they have to take 2 fatigue instead of 1 to overcome my defenses.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm just-
Okay.
Yeah.
So for whenever they want to do anything, so this is one of your special handbook moves. Do you want to describe it in a little bit of detail for those? Because this is the first time I think you've used this. So do you want to describe it for us?
So when people attack someone who's blocking, they must mark 1 fatigue to overcome the defenses.
Yep.
However, with my skill set, they have to mark 2 instead of 1 to overcome my defenses.
Okay, fantastic. Oki, would you like to describe what you're doing?
I think she's going to try and attack, like in a way that's going to push them away from the sandboat.
Yeah.
Sort of to try and like, if she can sort of maneuver these guys and push them like back using water, like while using her oar as just like in the same way that an airbender would with his glider. She's got what little water she's got on her.
Yeah. So you're going for a strike, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Could you please roll me with Passion? With Passiona Crush. All right. No pressure, but everyone has succeeded. So, hey, there we go. 8. Fantastic. Yeah. So, absolutely, you can do a strike. Okay. So, here's how things go down. Shurva, as you vault over the ship, you run forward and throw yourself over the top of the ship. Basically doing a little bit of a sort of spin in the air as you come down and intersperse yourself in the way of the sandbenders and Marco blocking his attack. At the exact same time, Marco sort of gets into position next to you, pulling open his sword into a defensive standpoint, I imagine, Marco, as you try and get ready to prepare yourself. So both of Shurva and Marco working together, getting ready to defend against these attacks. What's wrong, Marco?
No, it's just funny.
What's
He
funny?
didn't listen when I said that I was putting myself between him.
Oh no, I did
No,
it.
he didn't listen at all. Yeah. No. He didn't listen at all.
No, he didn't listen.
So
I
when
did,
we next do the
effective.
does your ward listen to you most of the time? I think we know the answer to that question. Remember, you can call him out on this bullshit, Shurva. You can call him out and say you're not acting up to your principles, and try and shift his balance so that he trusts you more. You can do that. Not in the middle of battle,
Right.
probably, but you can do that.
I mean,
you can do it in the middle of battle. It's up to you. But yeah, so Shurva and Marco basically are like getting into position, ready to defend against this oncoming onslaught. Rung, you and Oki begin sprinting forwards. Oki, as you whip out this water and fling it forwards, did you want to mark a fatigue to do 2 fatigue to that group of sandbenders, or did you just want to do the 1 fatigue?
Is it possible to still do the get them to mark a condition instead, or is that something to do with the rolls?
Yeah, so you can mark 1 fatigue to instead choose to hammer them with your blows, forcing them to mark 2 fatigue, or strike with a weak inflicting condition. So you can choose to. So you take a fatigue, and you can inflict a condition. What condition would you like to inflict?
She wants to try and make them scared. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
She's,
So can you
like,
describe
scare
your
them
water
away from
bending?
the boat.
Can you describe your
So
water bending
she's-
for us in a scary way? Halloween.
So
scary
she's
way.
got her oar that she always has with her. Not really useful in a desert, mind you, but she's still carrying it all the same. She's dumped Pang off. She's just slipped him
as he
off
drops onto the
and,
hot sand.
He's in a sack. He's not on the hot sand.
As he's dropped in a sack.
And she whips it around her head to really get some surface tension going on this water, and creates a loop around her, and then it whips out, similar to how she's seen Shurva do her whip. She's taking inspiration.
Oh,
And
okay.
she's trying to essentially slap the sandbenders across the face and push them away from the boat.
Yeah, look, as you begin whipping around this water, the sandbenders were not prepared for this onslaught, especially water bending. They were not expecting water bending. I will mark a condition. I will mark afraid. Water is terribly frightening to sandfolk. You are right, Hess. I would say that probably what they're more afraid of is this blatant disregard for water. I mean, in the desert, water is precious. This idiot is just waving it around in the hot sun like a whip. That's an intense use of water right now. What was that, sorry,
And
Brandon?
they're just going to try and steal
I was
the
just
water.
like, I just imagined the water coming past me. It's like, freaking bit.
For podcast listeners, both Brandon, Haz, and I all at the same time stuck our tongues out and wiggled them around, pretending to drink water from an invisible water whip. That's how immersed we are right now.
Hot sandy water. Yum.
Please don't gif that or gif that. Yeah. So, and what was that last thing you said, Oki? You're trying to whip them back with the water. What was the last thing you said just before?
Yeah, so she's trying to push them away from the boat so that if we have an opportunity to jump on and
You can
escape, they're,
do it, yeah.
they're
Absolutely.
out of the way.
Absolutely. Rung, as you go to leap forward and attack this group of sandbenders in front of I, These guys they're attacking as well. So both of you guys send out your attacks at the same time. So as you go to do this pressure, could I get you to... So which approach? You didn't want them to use attack and advance next turn for the next exchange. Cool. So they're doing it this turn, but they can't do it for the next turn. As they reach forward, they send out this wave of sand towards you and I that sweeps across. Could I get you to please mark 1 fatigue for me, Rung, and 1 fatigue for me, I, as the sand blasts into you as a coordinated effort, they stand and push, and the sand rolls around, very similar to what you've seen in the desert when there's danger about I, the same sort of rolling wave of sands that pulls across. The last group are evading and observing, so as you go to hinder them with your smoke stun bomb, the other group that Shurva and Marco were interacting with are going to try and hinder that group. So, you throw out a smoke bomb. You reach into your pack, pull out this cloth-wrapped bundle of various chemicals that you've collected from the desert, including buzzard wasp venom, and you just fling it towards them. As it strikes the rocky sand, it explodes, filling the area with this acrid smoke. You hear the sound of coughing coming from inside this dense, acrid yellow smoke as they are hindered. And you were inflicting the condition of stun. So yeah, seems like they are caught off guard and unable to respond for the moment. The
Am
group
I able to
who
scoot over to these rocks here?
Yeah, you can scoot over to those rocks. Only like 5 meters. It's fine.
Or is it,
so the way
cactus fog or cactus
Yeah.
vapor?
Yeah, it's cactus vapor as they begin tripping balls, as like their pupils go boom. The sand turns like this crystal yellow, and they're like, "Drink cactus juice.
Whoa,
It's a
man.
quencher. It's the quenchiest." Who lit Momo on fire? Yes, as they begin tripping balls. Marco and Shurva, these sandbenders begin lifting their arms up and pulling the sand up in front of you. They're doing the exact same thing. They're trying to stun you with this sand in your eyes. So yeah, for this next round, you guys don't get to do anything as they stun you with this sand, blasting you in the face, getting in your eyes, in your pants. It's gritty, gets everywhere.
With my Caesar position, it says any foe engaged with, you can mark 1 fatigue to block their technique.
Would you like to mark a fatigue to block this technique?
Yep.
Yeah, you can mark a fatigue. You intersperse yourself and prevent the sand getting in your eyes. You just like close your eyes and turn around, and that's it. As you just go,
Can
like, pull
I
your shirt up.
prevent it from hitting Marco instead of preventing it from hitting me?
To block this technique, yes, I would say absolutely. Yep,
Okay.
I'd argue that. And Marco, your block anyway, they have to mark 2 fatigue to be able to attack you anyway. So,
Yes.
I mean, this Shurva's move here. So actually, in that case, Shurva, I think probably as you vault over, you fling your whip out. As they raise their arms up, your whip catches around their wrists and pulls hard down on it, breaking their concentration, preventing them from being able to bend this sand up into your faces. That was a super cool exchange. That is an exchange. We've done an exchange correctly, everybody. Yay! Now we get to do it all over again. So, the NPCs know what they're doing. My question is, as we move into the second exchange, what are you guys doing? You now know that the group of NPCs engaged with I and Rung, this group here, for those of you who can see the map, they cannot advance and attack this turn. They have been blocked by Rung. Rung has prevented them from being able to do that.
What does the stun condition impose on them that I hit them with?
They can't do anything this round. So that group, they can't. They've got.
Alright.
They're taken out of this exchange. There's nothing they can do for this exchange.
All right, Rung, let's get him.
Get him. Get him.
It's like,
Get him. Get him.
well, because am I still standing there? Would I be like over there? Would you say?
I mean, you can earthbend from a distance. You don't want to be too close. Remember that I has thrown this cactus juice smog at them that is causing them to really like MDMA plus acid style. They are really fucked up right now.
Come over to these rocks.
Is that, all right, well, these guys can't attack me, so I'm like, just chuck up a rock and like, all right, rock volley, and just like try and like hurl a boulder. Well, not a boulder, but like a good sized rock that would probably make someone like a bit tired if I hit them in the head. Just like launch over these dudes that can't attack me in front and go for the guys at the back that are like smoke bombed.
So you guys can work together. You can absolutely like if you want to do the same thing together.
Yeah,
you
I'm
guys
definitely
can.
attacking too. I'm whipping up a few, like, I'm lifting some sand, earthbending them into more condensed like nuggets and bullet shooting them at them.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of imagine the way you do it is you quickly bend down, pick up some sand, compress it, and then flick it out at high speed towards them. Yeah, that's it. Like, pew, 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 pew. Like marbles.
Could we make like a sandy boulder, so like a sandy rock, so it's like a rock with like sand like flying around it, so it hits them and gets with them sand at the same time.
Together, you guys kind of make like a hollow point. So as Rung pulls up this core of shard of rock, you like compress sand around it, and then you both together push out and fling it. And you basically make a hollow point rock bullet. Yeah, you guys can both strike together.
I'm down with that.
It sounds cool as shit. I hope you're down with it.
This is a new weapon. Hope this doesn't pick up.
Oh dear. It will. So Shurva and Marco, you two are together. Logically, I think you two could be in a position to work together if Marco's not going to be a dick. What would you guys like to do?
You want to do the thing?
Any teamwork? Oh, you're going to do the thing.
We could do the thing.
We could do
Let's do the thing. Let's do the thing.
Okay, we're going to do the thing.
Okay. You don't need to. You guys can just roll for me. I think that would definitely be a advance and attack together. But Marco is sort of empowering you, Shurva. So Marco, I'd say for you to do the thing, you're bolstering Shurva to be able to do this, which means that it's not going to be able to happen this turn. It'll be happening the next exchange. But it's cool, so I want to allow you guys to do it together. I'm going to say that Marco and Shurva, for your thing, because you are so practiced at it, yours can happen. This can happen. So, Marco, I'll get you to take a bolster, and you are empowering Shurva.
Okay.
To do this as you use your fire. Actually, no. Do you know what this is? You are relying on skills and training to do this. It's just a basic move. It's not a combat move. It's a basic move, so it happens first. And then Shurva, you're then using your thing as a strike, I would say, or pressure or smash. Up to you.
We'll do a strike.
Alrighty. Would you like to roll me with passion to see if you're successful? And actually, I should get Rung and I. Could you guys please roll me with passion as well to see how successful your hollow point sand bullets are?
I was hoping you'd forget.
Skills and training.
Yes,
Okay.
you did it.
Yeah, no, I was paying attention. 10 for Shurva. That's definitely such. Shurva, you can actually do two things. Marco, you guys can do two things.
Yes.
So you guys are going to be pretty.
Nice.
Oh no, Rung, that's a failure. So Rung does not help with
That's
this.
fine.
His hollow point bullet idea just does not work as he brings up these little compressed stones. They just don't quite mesh with the sand.
Probably for the best.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked.
We'll save
what
that
are
for
you
a few
doing?
more centuries.
So what does that mean we can do?
So I'll get to you guys in a second. I just need I to roll with passion first, just to make sure
I
that's
have.
okay.
I
Oh,
got a
perfect.
7.
Yeah, it's above.
Oh,
It's a 7.
it's up there. 7, yeah. So your hollow points work perfectly. So the way it works, when you guys roll on a 10 plus, you get to actually choose from the list on the left hand side. So you can mark 1 fatigue to use a learned technique. A learned technique is a new thing that you guys unlock. You haven't unlocked any of those yet, so there's no point doing that. A practice technique is one of the techniques that you've learned as well that you've taken on board. We don't really have any of those yet either. You can also use 2 basic or 2 mastered techniques, which is much more sort of along the vein. So you could both, you could do 2 strikes. You could do a pressure and a smash. You could do any combination of strike, pressure, or smash, or a standard thing as well. So if you want to try and intimidate them, to try and scare them off, you could also do a basic move as well. So I'd say that your basic maneuver that you're doing, Marco, is you're relying on skills and training to light her whip on fire. You can also continue to do another move. So you could also strike at the same time if you wanted.
Yeah, I'll follow that up with a strike. Like I do
Perfect.
the lighter whip and the flame just keeps going into them.
Yep. And Shurva, did you want to do a strike and a smash, or a strike and a pressure, or a strike intimidate?
I will do 2 strikes.
2 strikes. Okay, fucking hell, that's gonna be good. Oki, what would you like to do?
She's going to strike again, or at least she's going to try and do the advance and attack.
Yep. Oh, I can see Cora.
Talking about advance and attack. Go, Cora, go.
Get her, Cora.
Okay, she's just activated full screen on my monitor. I don't know how to turn it off.
F11. F11's your friend.
F11.
F11.
F11. Okay, there we are. I can't see anyone else. I can only see Owen, but at this point, as long as you guys can still hear me.
Yeah,
You're so
you're
good.
fine.
All right,
what's the
what am I
thumb up?
rolling? Sorry.
Passion.
Passion.
Yes,
All
passion
right.
to strike,
so,
yeah. So if you get a 10 plus, you can do 2 strikes even.
Damn it, Cora. I gotta try and find the window.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Cora's just taking you out.
She's a terror. He wanted attention.
Full success.
Full success.
Okay, you can do any combination of the attack and advances or a basic move or anything like that. You've got some power.
Alright.
Who's actually lending
Any
you her
combination
power?
of the attack and advances. Alright, she's going to... Can she just, strike them twice?
Yeah, you can just
a
do
big
2
strike?
strikes. Yeah, of course you can.
Right, yeah.
Which group are you
she's
attacking? Are you attacking the ones that are stunned near Rung, or the ones that Marco and Shurva have ganged up on?
The ones that Marco and Shurva are ganging up on. Like, she's still trying to clear them away from the boat.
I'm gonna be a really nice DM because we're all still new and learning. Marco and Shurva, together between the two of them, are doing 3 strikes on these fuckers. Most
In which
NPCs,
case, the other one.
most NPCs can't take crazy amounts of damage, especially when you guys are the equivalent of level 1. So, just being a nice DM, those two have got they're applying a pretty good amount of pressure on these 2 shits down here, these 3 shits. I would be directing my focus at the stunned people, just as a nice, yeah. Cool,
I'm gonna
cool.
fish slap the stun people with 2 water strikes. Like,
Amazing.
Just like.
Yeah.
Combined for H2O.
Okay, so let's resolve this. The sandbenders who are stunned don't get to do anything. The other group of sandbenders, the ones that are engaged with Marco and Shurva, are retaliating. They're preparing to retaliate, essentially. That's what their idea is. So each time one of you guys inflicts fatigue, you get a fatigue as well. So they're trying to set up a retaliation. So let's unlock all the strikes, because literally all of you are striking. Would you like to mark a fatigue to deal 2 fatigue or a condition, or don't mark any fatigue and just deal 1 fatigue to these stunned fuckers?
I'm old, so I'm probably going to resist using the extra fatigue. I'll maintain a more neutral jing.
A more neutral jing, exactly. Very nice, very, very nice. As you sort of reach out, what type of bending are you doing? Talk us through your technique here. Oh, you're doing sand bullets, that's right.
Yeah, flicked up the sand, condensed them into small sand bullets, and flick.
Yeah,
like 4 or 5 aggressive, speedy bullets.
The sand bullets tear through their clothing, striking against their chests and arms, dealing these massive bruises that instantly begin blossoming this purple-red color as you strike against their chests. As they are stunned, they're like, "Whoa, what's going on?" As they're like reeling back high on this cactus juice. The cactus juice smoke grenade you've sent their way. We'll do Rung, because you're also engaged with these guys too. Oh no, Rung, you failed. That's right. As Rung goes to throw these stones, as they're stumbling around, maneuvering and reeling from these sand bullets, the stones just fly overhead and miss them completely. Rung, you didn't really take into account their sort of stumbling, shuffling gait because of their cactus juice high. Yes. The wind was off. I thought you were raising your hand to ask a question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so the wind was off. All right. Oki, you're also striking these people. You've got 2 strikes. Did you want to mark any fatigue to deal conditions, or
she's gonna
just 2 fatigue?
She's just, straight up normal ass, non-fatiguing marking strikes for her.
Yeah. And are you using the water whip still, or are you going for some ice now?
Yeah, no, she's still water whipping.
Water whip.
Like, it's she's trying to like keep on the momentum that it's already had, and now it's just like a quick like between the group, like one strike between them, 1 strike on the other side of them, like.
As you whip this section of water forwards and strike it into them, the first blow sends one of them careering forwards, flying back into the sand, clearly unconscious. The second takes the next 2 across the face, whapping them into each other as they drop unconscious to the sand, as you have successfully taken these guys out. Marco and Shurva. These guys are sort of getting ready. They're pulling sand around their hands to try and make these sharp spines, looking like they're trying to defend themselves from your attacks. You guys, however, are striking, so what would you guys like to do? Sorry. We know what happens. Marco, would you like to describe what you do? So Shurva, you first, then Marco, and then we'll do both of you together. So to do your special technique for the first time.
So I already have my whip in my hand from
Yep.
grabbing their hands earlier. I, with my other hand, so whip this hand, other hand, I grab the flask and I pull it along the whip and I just hold it out next to me before Marco.
Marco, you can see the whip is now oiled.
I get a little bit of fire and toss it towards the whip, just lightly, so it just catches ever so slightly.
Yeah.
And
The
then
whip
the
catches fire. You watch as Shurva is now spinning around this flaming whip. The sandbenders look a little bit intimidated by this. Marco, you've used your basic maneuver to use your skills and training. Shurva and Marco, would you like to do strikes? So my question is, are you going to spend any fatigue to do conditions and extra damage, or are you happy just to do 1 fatigue from Marco, 2 fatigue from Shurva?
I'll spend 1 and do an extra
Spend a
damage.
fatigue, yep. Mark off a fatigue to deal 2 fatigue. Shurva, did you want to mark any fatigue to do conditions or fatigue, or are you happy just with 2 fatigue?
I'll mark 2 fatigue to deal 4 fatigue.
Wow, okay.
I'm doing
Marco and Shurva, as your whip catches fire and you start spinning it around, whipping into them, Marco shoots forward this little firebolt that strikes into their chests and burns across their clothes, starting to catch fire, followed by the whip spinning around and striking into them. In 3 cuts, you have them stumbling away in fear, and by the time that last whip crack comes across, they are sent sprawling forwards onto the sand, cuts leaking blood onto the dry sand as they are knocked absolutely out of combat. And that takes us out with only 2 exchanges. You guys are out of combat. You can see like the sound of the thuds of them quick drink it. Fuck me. as the victor, their water belongs to you. As they are quenchy. For podcast listeners, this is what the players have typed into chat. Could you please read out your comments aloud, please, for podcast listeners?
Quick, drink it.
And Bree.
Okay.
Quenchy.
Blood. It's the quenchiest. As their bodies begin collapsing to the sand with these loud thuds, these boom, 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 as they drop down and crack into the onto the dry sand. You guys are out of combat, out of the exchange, as they are no longer able to fight. You can sort of hear them going, groaning
Is
and
there
turning
any
over.
way that Pung saw this?
Pung is tied up in a sack with a gag. I'm going to tell you right now, you have taken a number of steps to prevent Pung from being able to do anything. No, Pung did not see this.
I was really hoping the sack had opened a little bit for Pung to see this and start taking it seriously.
No, Pung
I'd
has
like
not
to,
seen you do this.
rob the people that I'm seeing in front of me now.
Oh yeah,
I'm not going to
definitely
need these. I'm going right in their pockets.
You freaking
Yeah.
blue goblins.
Might have
Yeah,
some
I
water in
see
there or
these
something like that.
Yeah, they do have water skins.
No, they'll die without water. Run.
Have you seen
I
the
start,
ones I
like-
just dealt with? They're basically like...
They're not
There's
going
some
to survive.
people, they know
much
how to
longer.
live out here.
I start
Take
taking
the one water
like,
skin.
their clothes so that we can change and get into like more natural clothes throughout here.
Yeah, and they've got those
Yeah.
cool sunglasses too. These
fuck yes.
slit sunglasses, which are designed to protect from the harsh sun. Not pinhole. I think they're called stripe glasses. I can't remember, but they're basically like the glasses used during a solar eclipse. If you want to see the solar eclipse without
Cool.
burning your eye sockets out. Yeah, they've all got those. They're wearing turbans, long flowing desert robes, very similar to what Ai is wearing, but a bit more patchwork. Eyes are much more well cared for and
Yes.
looked after.
Only the
Yeah, you
person
strip
Who
them.
would like to get out of the fur?
Yeah, you strip them of their robes, leaving them wearing nothing but loincloths and undershirts and things
Then-
like that.
She gives them her makeshift poncho so that they don't burn too much.
The shit one with like 2 head holes. Yeah. You give them the shit ponchos.
It's something.
They do have a number of rations on them, and they also have some Earth Nation currency. You can see that they've got.
Ooh.
As you sort of gather up, each of you get from the 2 groups of 3. You each can roughly add to your inventories, which you'll have to keep a record of I don't think you can keep a record of this in the character sheet, unfortunately. I don't think there's a
Got
section
notes.
for notes.
Got
Is there a notes
notes.
section?
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. In your notes section, you can add that you have, each of you have basically $6 worth of earthbending currency, which we're going to call coins. 6 coins of earthbending
Notes
currency.
section, sorry guys.
What was that, sorry, Oki?
It's the notes section.
Scroll down right to the bottom.
In the character sheet thing that
Underneath
you
your history.
Oh, yeah.
There.
Right down the bottom, at the very,
I
yeah.
see. And how
Which
much
is
currency was
PlayStation
that?
coins.
I'm so sorry.
Six coins
$6.
of earthbending currency.
These guys
Is
will
what you
know.
get each. Each of you get that. They also have what looks like a couple of days' rations, and each of them has a fairly full water skin that looks like it could be enough for 2 or 3 days worth of drinking.
I'll
Each of
grab
them has
one.
that. Okay, so you've taken one.
I insist they leave the other one there with these guys. And
They can have one to share because they are losers.
Just because they lost doesn't mean they deserve to die. They were, look, to be fair and honest with you all, they were kind of right to fight me on this one.
Is there any cacti nearby? Like,
No, not a
Not
lot
the
of
shallow in
cacti
the
at this
desert.
location. Yeah.
Well,
You would know
going to
that.
be keeping an eye out for them.
Yeah,
Because she
the
wants
good
to try
shits.
and pull water out.
The good shit's deeper in the desert. You know, the deeper you go, the better the shit.
The Quenchia.
The Quenchia.
The
That's it.
Quenchies.
The Quenchiest.
Can I try and...
Maybe one of your
That's further
goals,
in
your
your
life
spirit
goals,
journey.
is to find the quenchiest cactus.
Can I try and staunch the guys bleeding?
Yeah, absolutely. You can just tear some of their So a number of them have these wrap gauntlets. These basically wraps of cloth that they use to create these hand wraps. You can just untie that and bind a few of their wounds. Yeah, you know that blood in the desert will attract a number of predators. Sand sharks could be an issue. Sand sharks could be a bit of a worry, and there's always that minor worry at the back of your mind of too much noise, too much rhythmic noise on the surface of the desert, like bodies hitting the surface of the desert.
Here we should be safe, out on the dunes. Dicier. I try and carry their bodies over to the tents and probably fail. I beg for one of the youngsters to come help me carry these people over into the tent shed.
young whippersnappers.
Please.
Oki comes to help.
I get a slab and
Also,
just
it's
pick
trying
them up on a
to pull
slab and just like for the sand.
Yeah. You guys position the sandbenders underneath some shade, which is that's about the bare minimum you can do to help stop them dying.
I pass Shurva a set of the clothes and glasses.
Thank you.
I also grab Pang and throw him on the boat. So we don't
Yeah.
forget about him.
Pang
That's fair.
is the sack holding Pang is thrown onto the boat, and you hear it "Oh" as he strikes the wood.
I'll take one of the water skins that we've found, and I pull the sack down past Pang's head. I take his gag out, and I give him a bit of water.
Oh my god, I was getting so thirsty. He begins like
I regret it
water as quickly as he
immediately.
can. Do you have anything that could quench me more?
Well, that
We need the
cactus you,
quenchiest.
sorry.
Can we make him hallucinate?
Your
Is
Pang
there any of
Eventually.
those cacti around here?
What do you think I wanted the cactus for?
We're getting the cactus later. Don't worry about it.
Oh, what happened to those people you were fighting? I heard raised voices. And he sort of like looks over and sees a whole bunch of people knocked out, cut and bruised underneath a tent. Oh my god, what did you do to them?
They're not dead.
Took care of them.
You were way
Said
too
very
defensive
quickly.
about that. I'm pretty confident they're dead.
Okay,
Not
they're
yet.
not dead
They're not.
Please,
Punk,
please
they
don't tell
wanted
me.
to
Much water, but we
hurt
have all the
you.
water. I'm gonna give him a bit of water. I'm like, here you go, my little man. Drink up
Please
a little
untie
bit.
me.
You'll be
My
hydrated.
father will reward you for returning me to Ba Sing Se safely.
We
Where
are,
are we
but
going,
we need
by
to
the way?
keep you safe.
Wait, where are we heading to?
How is keeping me tied up keeping me safe? Ba Sing Se's
Safe
that
from
way.
yourself.
We don't trust that you're not gonna do something stupid like jump off the boat into a sand dune, drink some cactus juice, get lost, start a fight with someone that we shouldn't be fighting with. She's just slowly trailing off, listing all the things that he could do wrong.
Sitting
Why would
somewhere
I
Then-
do
yeah.
those things?
He is Earth Nation, and Earth Nation's all very trusty people, whether or not they're rich or not. I believe this man
you
probably.
do realize the people that put us in the metal boxes were Earth people, yes?
No, they're like different Earth people. Like bad.
Not real Earth people.
Yeah. And those sandbenders, they're also different Earth people. Yes, sure.
Exactly right.
Use
No offense.
my badge of authority on
Yeah.
Pung.
Oh yeah, so you're using one of your special class features, handbook features. Yeah, you pull out your badge of authority, which entitles you as a protector of the Fire Nation royal line and adjacent royal lines. 7. Pung doesn't recognize what this is, not being a member of the Fire Nation or the Fire Nation Elite Guards, but he does recognize that it clearly carries some weight. The way it's been designed, it's clearly made of precious metals. He gets the hint that this is something important. Are you like some sort of investigator? What is this?
So my primary role is to protect people. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to untie you.
Okay.
And treat you like a human being on the condition that you do as we say, and we will get you home safely.
But just remember, I've been trying to help you for much longer.
I'm not lying!
No, I'm just checking.
I am not lying.
Okay, cool.
I don't know what the other guys want.
That's okay. No. I just wanted to know if Pung if you need to trick an NPC or plead with an NPC.
No.
Would you like to do a plead? Because you're trying to persuade him to not be afraid of you, despite the fact that you have given him no reason to be anything other than terrified of you.
But the badge of authority says
Absolutely, and I'm gonna add a plus for that. Don't worry, I'm gonna add a plus for that.
Okay, fine.
Don't worry, I just want to hit because
I
you
just
have
feel
to
like-
work a little bit
I feel
harder
like
to
I
override
pushed my luck
this.
so much with these rolls that it's gonna be a bad one.
That's okay. I'm adding a plus to it because of the badge of authority, but you have to work a bit harder for this because you have. So no, it's okay because you get a +1, which is a 7. So it is a mixed success. Pung for a second. So she rolled a 6, but she gets a +1. Pung for a second looks like he really doesn't trust you, but something about what you've said combined with the badge. He's been trained. Daddy trains me to pay attention to people in charge. I will do what you say. Can you please untie me now?
With you.
Yes.
You don't have to come with us. You can take your chances on your own. I mean, you can see the Earth Kingdom from where we're standing, but given everything that's happened, do you honestly think it's the best option to go back there?
I don't know. I'm confused. I've been in a sack for the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, he hasn't really seen much.
Could you please untie me?
Like before we were born. But anyway.
I untie him.
Yeah, looks like Oki and Shurva are untying him. You untie him. Pung sort of sits up, rubs his wrists, and looks around. You really will just let me go?
I mean, if you don't think you're going to be eaten by a sand shark or carried away from buzzards or something, or just dehydrate for 10 minutes in the sun, UV index is pretty high today, I hear.
Daddy! And he jumps off the front of the boat and begins sprinting into open desert.
I just make the sand shift like in a river, just bringing him straight back. Like running on a treadmill.
Roll with skills and training. Yeah, go for it.
Godspeed, little man.
You don't want to just let him like run away and die. Like this could be the end of our problems.
7. Yeah.
Earth Kingdom's
All that
way.
water just running away.
As you begin as you begin bending the sand back towards yourself, so basically like shifting sands, you're like pulling almost like a water bending style technique. For a moment, it looks like he's running in the spot because the sand underneath him is moving. Before he falls forward flat on his face. As he does so, you notice a little bit of a tremor go through the sand, sort of like
Oh no.
pulse. Pung sort of sits up and looks back towards you and goes, "What was that? Why don't you let me go?"
I immediately just encase him in as hard a sand as I can to keep him from moving without killing him.
Oh! So you just like build a sandcastle on him.
Sand meatball.
Yeah, I mean, do you want to go? I think this is going to be pushing your luck a little bit to try and like encase him in sand really quickly. So yeah, can you roll me to push your luck a little bit? I just want to see how this plays out. This is fun. 8, yeah. As you begin like encasing him in sand, he's like pounding on the sand, trying to get up, being like, "You said I could go!" And he's like bashing against the sand.
Stop.
Another pulse moves through the sand.
I vouch for you, idiot.
With a sudden dropping, sliding sound, the sand begins moving away, dropping as a giant pit opens up in the sand. You watch as Pung, slowly encased in the sand, is trying to climb out, just drops from view as this giant tubular body emerges from the sand, massive spine teeth closing in around him as a massive sandworm devours him whole before crashing back onto the sand and slowly begins moving side to side as if trying to search out the source of all the noise.
Hands up. Very, very quiet.
Oh, you can stage whisper Has because the podcast won't be able to hear you.
Be very, very quiet.
I'm assuming all of you
Are we all
funnies.
on the boat at this point?
Guess-
Nope.
I guess we're not getting a reward. I guess we're not getting a reward from his father anymore.
Actually, all of you would have to be on the boat because you were all talking. Because Shurva put Pung on the boat. So yeah, all of you are on the boat at this point. So none of you are on the sand. Yeah, the worm continues moving around slowly as if trying to locate something.
Just leave.
How fast can this thing go?
Not that fast.
Oh no. Oh no.
Rum. Do you still have that boulder?
Always. Pull it out.
You can see the
What?
other
Oh,
sand
okay.
sailor is still there, just towards the south. The other sand sailor is still sitting on the sand, it hasn't been touched.
Towards the south?
Oh, there were two
Yeah.
sand sailors.
Just below you. Yeah, because the other sandbenders came on a sand sailor.
We still don't have my medal.
What would happen if it found something to eat? Would it leave?
Is that a question for I?
Yeah.
That depends entirely on how big it was and how hungry it is.
So
I don't imagine Pang was much of a meal. It just ate him.
the mouth you can
Where do
see.
we? Oh, we got the cage over there. Oh.
Yeah. The mouth is 10 meters wide. The body of the worm could easily be 100, 120 meters long.
I tell Rung to throw a boulder
Good idea.
at the metal structure.
I was just gonna set the other people alight so they start making noise again.
Oh, we
Avatar
could not do that.
I'm going to tell you right now,
That is
will
not
be
the way.
shifting your balance. That would be shifting your balance hard.
How
That is
quickly
not
can you
the
get to
way.
the dark side?
Not the way.
It's
of
time
the
to kill
desert.
the younglings.
Oh.
They attacked us.
Everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked some poor defenseless sandbenders. Look, yeah, you direct Rung to throw a boulder at the
The
metal.
ringing of the metal will distract it.
So you don't want them? I thought we wanted the medal.
I
Don't you
want the metal. But I'd rather be alive more.
I want to live more.
There must
So
be a
is
way
Pang
we
just
can
dead? Yeah,
achieve
Pang's
both.
dead.
Let me survey the situation. Can I? I'm gonna assess the situation.
Yeah, you can assess, absolutely.
Let's assess.
Roll with focus. Hang on, I don't want.
Pang.
And
Beloved
you can ask me
Pang.
2 questions,
Hey.
buddy.
Yes.
What would you like to know?
I'm trying to assess if there's anything else I could cause to distract it. If there's anything else I could throw the boulder at that might be
The
better
other
than
sand
throwing at
sailor?
the cage.
Yeah,
Let
the
me-
other
let-
sand sailor
let me
would-
highlight
It looks
it
like
for
it
you.
would be a bit harsh for them to... I can see... Who is that? I can see Andrew pinging the sandbenders. Yeah, look, I'll be honest. Yes, you could ping the sandbenders. The other sand sailor, yeah, you think that would be a good distraction. It would take a few chomps to get through that, definitely.
That's as good as killing them, though, so you may as well just set it on them.
Wait, you talking about just throwing it at the people?
Well,
Do
you,
we
you
need the
go to
other
the,
sand sailor?
they do
Yeah,
to ever leave this tent.
Oh, that's what you meant. I'm like, how's that gonna kill them? It's hitting a boat.
It's like down south of us, isn't it?
The sand sailor's just south of your position.
Sailor.
Yeah, the worm at this
So
point, as
not
you guys
on
are
the
sort of
map.
standing talking... No, it's not on the map, it's below the map.
Unless we make a run for the other sand sailor, but that still leaves the metal behind.
I mean, do we need the other sand sailor, or do we need the metal? How important is this
Do
metal?
we need the metal so bad?
I mean,
That's worth risking our lives.
Really like the metal, but I did say get rid of it because I wanted to be alive. I won't risk your lives for my financial gain, even if it would mean I could finally retire.
Can you throw the rock at the metal to make a clanging sound against it?
Well, yeah,
That
I
was
could
that was his
throw the rock
suggestion.
at that. Yeah, it just
does.
means, do we want the metal? Because obviously he's going to share his riches of the metal with us, and we can all
Okay,
profit
do we
from
care
metal.
more about saving our lives and saving some poor, defenseless sandbenders' lives, or do we care about money?
Rung throws the boulder at the metal. We'll find more money.
So
Yeah.
before you do that, Rung, as you
My
guys have been
medal.
talking for a while, I was going to try and jump in a little bit, but I didn't want to interrupt. But you guys have been talking for a while. The sandworm has begun moving away towards the north, trailing the edge of the desert area here. It is now sort of 50, 60 meters away to the north of you guys. Clearly still trying to suss out the origin of this noise, but not quite able to, as there has been no interaction with anything for the past sort of 3, 4, 5 minutes as you guys were talking. My question is, did you guys want to try and get that medal, or are you going to take off?
Or do we just wait it out?
Can we get some rope and then just like hook it to the side of the cage thing and just like hoist it up as we go past the
Just
sand
leave it
sail?
behind. We should just leave and get out while we can.
You can come back for it. I mean,
You know where it is.
no, the other sandbenders will probably take it.
We can burn down their boats. They can't go.
I would like to call
Fire
you
Nation
out.
people and their
Yeah.
fire.
Perfect. Shurva, you're calling Marco out. Absolutely. Which principle do you think Marco is? Oh, nice. 10. Fantastic. So the way calling someone out works, I'll just talk it through really, really quickly. So when you call someone out, basically what you're saying is that they're not living up to their principles, not living up to their code of honor. So in this case, which do you think Marco is not living up to? So I'll just quickly tell you Marco's.
I can tell you which one I'm not living up to.
Do you want to? Yeah, because you're drawn between forgiveness and action, aren't you?
Yep.
Yeah. So Shurva, which do you think Marco
I'm
is not
taking
living
action
up
right now.
I want to call him out against forgiveness because, like,
Yeah.
none of us. I won't forgive him if he does this.
to? Oh, okay. So in this example, what's happening is, you're calling him out, saying that he is not living up to his balance. So this is you're calling him out is the name of the thing you're doing. I'm just trying to find the rules on it because I don't remember. Sorry, I cannot let that be my default voice when I'm thinking.
No, he's dead.
I can't remember.
He's not
I've
here
ruined my
anymore.
inner monologue. Damn it.
If you think this
I
fucker's
was
dead,
hoping that he'd
He's
be running
immortal.
towards the Earth Kingdom.
no, he's immortal. Don't worry, he'll be back.
No.
When you openly call someone out to live up to their principle, you can shift your balance away from center, then name and roll with their principle. You've already rolled with a hit. So so you're basically calling Marco out and saying, Marco, you're not living up to your principles. You're not living up to your honor. Marco, you know you're not. As Shurva calls it out, you know this behavior is bloodthirsty and aggressive and not who you are, not who you were, not who you've been. This is, very unforgiving of you.
Wait, what do I mark? Is it minus
Nothing. So Shurva, you can shift your balance away from center in either direction. So you have to shift your balance to call him out.
Yep.
But you've rolled and you have succeeded. So Marco, you know what you're suggesting is murder, and it is absolutely unacceptable. Shurva is right. You know what you're doing is wrong. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yep.
So you are
Well,
much
you know,
more
it's like-
reticent to continue down this current path. Shurva has called you out, and you know that you are acting against your true self. You are acting against your center.
Yep, cool. Okay.
So behave.
Maybe let's not do that.
I might have an idea that would work for everyone. We leave the other sand slider here for the sand people that are currently under the tent. We leave
Sand
them the
people.
metal and they escape with their lives. And, some booty in the form of that metal. You get your sand boat. And, maybe they'll forgive you for it now. And, all's done and done. It's fair trade.
It's like you're paying them the medal for the boat. that
And their
you
lives.
took.
I suppose it's not worth dying over. All right.
As you guys keep
Some
talking, the
wisdom.
sandworm has moved even further away. Further towards the north.
You may as well just walk out there by now.
At this point, it's
I mean, you
beyond
can
sight. You
risk
can't
it
even
if
see
you
it.
want.
Perfect. I think let's just get the. Ooh, can I just launch the cage at us? Just to get get some rockets.
So you're going to try and launch it so that it lands on the boat.
Oh god.
This giant metal cage. Is that correct? Is that what you'd like to do?
Have you ever wanted to see a
You know you
sandworm
say it like that.
sprint towards
Makes
us?
me have
This is how you do
doubt.
it.
I'm being a really nice DM here. I'm going to give you a chance. Is this what you want to do?
No, yeah.
Oh.
Can I give my
You both are
advantage
like-
to someone else?
Yes, you can give your advantage to someone else.
If you go through with this, you will get my advantage.
I didn't know you were a
We have
troll
another
bender too,
sand
Marco.
later.
This is the
We
most
could
Run's
steal
ever
their
thought about
boat.
something.
Yeah, like this is the most he's thought about something. I am.
With the advantage, I think I'm not gonna throw it at the boat. I will have it land next to the boat, so we can still just get it up. Not like a cannonball at the boat.
Yeah.
Oh god.
You have advantage on this roll. You
We're
are
getting out of here stealthily.
you
I'm
are
like
120 million % pushing your luck.
Roll with advantage,
Like,
my friend.
Every
Oh,
percent,
dear
every
Lord.
percentage of push your luck. So please feel free to push your luck with advantage as you use Marco.
Pushing my buttons, baby. Passion. Yep. And then just go submit it twice. Is that how I do it? Just
Well, so the
Both
way,
us?
because it's a little bit different to D&D, so the way advantage works in this, it's sort of like Marco's giving you a free help action, which means that you get a +1 to your roll after the roll.
Oh no.
But I'm going to be nice
Press
and
it.
say that the way the channel point works is it's a +2 to the roll. Channel points are special.
Oh, dear
Whoa!
Lord.
7 takes us up to a 9 with a +2.
Oh.
Yeah, Rung, you just start stomping and yeet this thing towards you. As the metal cage flies through the air, you have a brief moment of like, oh shit, this is going to be like a fucking beacon to that worm, before the cage, boom, in the sand strikes.
Could I try and
Sand bends.
catch it with like a sand hand? Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can I get you to push your luck as well then,
Yeah.
as you try and catch it with Big B's sand hand.
oh dear Lord.
As you go to
Can
catch
I
it,
mark a fatigue to help him?
yes, you can. Normally, you have to announce it before, but I am a
It
nice
says
DM.
after the roll.
After the roll, it does too. Yes, shit. I
Wow.
apologize. I'm just a
That's
normal
actually
DM. then.
awesome. Holy shit.
Mark of fatigue. You add a +1, which is a 7, which turns it into a pass. Just as you're about to, as you reach up this hand, you're about to like try and grab it, and Shurva, realizing your aim is a bit off, whips out her whip and pulls your hand, which jerks this big sand hand slightly to the left, which is just enough. As
you,
the
young lady.
cage. As the cage smashes into this hand, the blow is softened somewhat. It's not as loud as it could have been. And as it is in this giant sand hand that you've conjured, you can just tip it over onto the boat a little bit quicker. Yeah, that's what I
Onto the
figured you were
boat.
trying to do. As you sort of push it onto the boat, you can see in the distance a wave of sand moving towards your position very quickly from the north.
Go, 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 go.
With everyone on the boat, I begin sandbending rapidly to try and move the boat as quickly as he can across the dunes, and it does take off, rising very, very quickly onto these two pontoons, these two sort of, what are they called? Not skates, hydrofoils. These two hydrofoils. I guess they're maybe
Sandofoils.
silica foils. We'll work on that. We'll come up with it. These two hydrofoils. Yeah, the sand sailor begins moving rapidly through the dunes. Before too long, behind you, you can see the wave reaching the point where you had just been parked. And there's an explosion of sand into the air as the large worm rises up again on the spot where you just were, and then drops back to the sand again.
How close is that to the people that we left there? Just out of curiosity.
So I said it was 10 meters wide. Each one of those squares is a meter. I'm going to let you guys do the math.
Okay. I wasn't the cause, so it's okay.
As you begin taking off, you know in your heart that those sandbenders are most likely dead.
Oh.
But the sand sailor begins rapidly moving across the desert. You were a very skilled navigator. Oh yeah, okay.
If they're dead, is it worth towing their boat behind us?
Look, it's not worth going back for at this stage.
As another blow of sand, this sand geyser gets shot up in the air as the worm exhales all the sand that it grabbed in its mouth, leaving only the delicious chompy bits in its jaws.
One question:
Do we
we've
see-
seen
do we
sand
see a
sailors
little
enough to
person
me.
You do not.
Oh, that's even more concerning.
But yeah, you're a very skilled navigator. You know these deserts well, and you immediately begin turning the ship ever so slightly towards the south to head towards the Misty Palms oasis. The trip is fairly rapid. Is able to very expertly and skillfully avoid some of the dangers of the desert, pointing out the telltale sign of a sand shark, these double-bladed fins of dark black material that look almost like rocks or shade on the desert that very quickly begin moving towards the sound of the sand sailor as it slides across the sand. But
Are they mole sharks?
Are they what, sorry?
Are they mole sharks?
Oh yeah, I was calling them sand sharks, but you're right, they're mole sharks. That's way better. Yeah, they're mole sharks as they begin like rapidly digging through. You know that they're mainly fast from an ambush strike, so being able to see them in advance is a huge help, and you are able to steer around them and avoid getting into too much trouble. You point out a few of the dangers of the desert to these newbies. Basically, buzzard wasp hives. Yeah, the cactus. Yeah, you point out the cactus, the quenchy cactus. Which is known as Quenchicus mostus in Latin. It's very quenchy, quenchy cactus. Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask that we stop when we get to the cactus? Because I want to try and replenish my bending water with the fully hallucinogenic cactus water. I want to bend hallucinogenic.
How old are you?
Old enough.
Old enough?
Old enough.
To what?
Old enough for cactus.
Poison
Party?
But it's natural. It's totally natural, dude.
Not for myself. If it's any consolation, it's not for myself.
It's
I
not
want
for
to force
myself.
other people to drink it.
I
Oh,
just
wow,
hold
that makes
cactus
sense.
for a friend, I
Worse.
swear.
Or an enemy.
Just chomps a cactus.
Alright.
Yeah, okay. I'd like you to test your luck as you try and waterbend hallucinogenic cactus juice.
Come on, rolly rolls. Oh.
6.
Can I help her with knowledge of the desert?
Yes, you
And where
can.
the
Mark
water
of
would be
fatigue.
contained?
Mark of fatigue. She gets a +1.
You've opened your third eye before you know what's going on here.
If I was to
Okay.
take a bite out of this, like,
I
know where the
could you
good
see
is.
insides.
I'm going to tell you right now, you'd be seeing colors and taste. Sorry, no, you'd be seeing flavors and tasting colors. Okay, as you begin waterbending on this cactus, you do draw out the goo from inside, and I sort of points out the weak points of the cactus, how to get the most liquid out of it, and you begin waterbending. As you put it into your flask, you're not sure whether or not you were able to bring the hallucinogenic properties with you, but you are able to extract the moisture from the cactus, leaving it shriveled up, dry, and dead in the desert, as you draw forth the moisture and completely top up your bending water.
I share a little prayer for the lost moisture of the desert.
All we have done in
Yeah.
this desert is leave death in our wake.
You guys are the most
Death
dangerous thing in the desert
squad!
right now. Yeah, I'm a bit concerned.
Along our journey, can I try and teach Rung some of the tricks of properly sandbending?
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think
Absolutely.
that finally have some young folks and just some people at all.
Yeah, so there is a way that NPCs can teach the characters new techniques and things like that. I would say that as a guest character, I'm going to give you those same powers. You can teach Rung one sandbending technique. Which would you like to teach him? Oh fuck, we know which one it is. It's the goddamn sand bullets.
No, I'll probably teach him something more
Sand
utilitarian. I mean,
Yep.
that's more an advanced combat technique.
Yeah,
So
it
I'll
is,
probably
yeah.
teach him more like how to control it for like moving the sand sailor forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
wayfarer.
Oki, you notice
That's
the
fair,
techniques
fair.
that I is teaching Rung are very reminiscent of waterbender techniques.
I was gonna
The
pull her in.
push and pull. Yeah, they look almost like a form of waterbending, but it's definitely sandbending. So can I get you to roll with focus for me, please? Rung, could you also please roll with focus?
Certainly.
It's a failure from I.
Your thinking is too rigid, wrong. It's not me, it's you.
Yes.
It's
I
not
learned
that's-
terribly.
A lot of what you do is very instinctual at this point, and explaining it is a bit more difficult than you thought at first. But Rung is fairly flexible and is willing to try and do what you say as you're controlling the the sand sail. After a while, Rung does seem to get the basic gist of it. Rung, you can add to the notes thing if you want that you can access very basic sandbending techniques.
Woohoo!
As,
Imagine Rung's just getting very confused. He's getting technical about, like, you got to move the sand this way, and the little tiny rock's like, which tiny rock? Oh,
Well, actually, that'd be
tiny
the
rock.
bit where it gets
As a
confusing.
flow.
Yeah, because
Don't think of them
eyes.
as one rock, think of them as all a rock.
Exactly,
Too
yeah,
many
and that's
rocks.
the bit you're struggling with. Is eyes telling you to think about them not as individual grains, which is what you normally do with rocks. It's the group of them. It's the whole flow of them, and that is really weird for you. So it does take a little bit. But by the time you guys pull up, the sun is setting over the horizon, and the misty palm oasis stands before you. A clay wall surrounding a massive shard of ice, almost like an iceberg in the center of town, steaming under the hot sun. And as the sun slowly begins setting over the dunes behind, you bring the sand sailor to a gentle stop just outside the front gates. With the metal salvage still on the back of your sand sailor, you can see a number of the beetle-headed merchants. These tall, very dark-skinned males and females wearing long, elaborate robes with these strange hats that resemble almost like a beetle carapace. Are just in the process of closing up one of their market stalls out the front of the town.
All right, young people, this is where I leave you. You should be able to find safe passage out of the desert from here. I'll just go sell this metal to these merchants, and I'll leave you with enough to make your way wherever you need to go.
You don't want to come with us? We could always use more company.
I'm afraid my place is here in these dunes. I need to find my retirement out here. Unfinished
live in the
business,
cage.
so to speak. Live in the cage.
Crazy old man in the streets, like, hello! Drinking tea.
I've got a lovely bunch
Beware
of
the
worms.
Just one thing before we continue on. Could I have been able to cut a piece of cactus so that I could carry it around?
Yes, even though you didn't say it at the time, I will.
Sorry, I was messaging my guard to see if they would have let me.
Oh. Does Shurva let you?
My God.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you may add a piece of cactus to your inventory.
Look, that's a quick little nightcap for later.
Yeah. Well, by the time you guys arrive, it has evaporated. The liquid inside. It's just the flesh. But yeah, Eye drops you off at the gates. You can see inside the Misty Palms Oasis, there looks to be a number of permanent dwellings that look to be where people live. There is a large cantina over the far side of town that has lights coming on from inside. And you can see the upper floors do look to be maybe some sort of rest stop where people can stay and rent a room. Looks like there's a number of other sand ships and sand sailors docked up outside the town. A number of other sandbenders look to be living here. But the town has a bit of a rougher feel. A couple of the people who are sort of moving around seem to sort of give you a bit of a shifty eye as they walk past. But there does also seem to be a number of Earth Nation tourists as well. You can see a large hotel just outside the walls of the town has a number of rooms for sale, and you can see this hotel is called the Misty Palms Night Stop. Please tell me it's playing the Cantina song from Star Wars. Yes.
I don't like you.
DMCA, yeah, probably. I don't think my singing's good enough to have triggered a DMCA. Sounds like a wretched hive of scum and villainy. Not quite. It's not quite as bad as the show. We've had 100 years for the Misty Palms Oasis to become shit, so it's not quite a hive of scum and villainy.
Yet.
There we go. That's different enough
It's like
that I won't get hit with
version.
copyright strike. Yeah.
Seeing
all
that there is some sort of tourism,
Yeah.
can I, before we finish off and before I forget,
Yes.
can I do a quick check to see if there are any Dai Li, like, obviously standing about?
Would you like to assess the situation, please, as you look around? While you're doing that, as you begin sort of dragging the metal salvage over to the beetle-headed merchants, they are very pleased with your haul. You are offered initially 90 coins, 90 Earth Nation currency, for your scrap.
I would like to, one, barter them for more coins and for transport for my new friends.
Oh, okay, yeah. Would you like to?
Is it
oh,
just
yeah?
him by himself?
No, you can
Is
be
he
with him
just-
at this point.
I just want to bring out my my badge and show off my Captain Miner's badge. Like,
Yes.
this
Yes.
is for stately duties.
Yes, please. And you're now covering the bit where it says coal miner on your badge, right? With your thumb. So for context, has one of his things is a badge of authority, but in his backstory, he very carefully and clearly explains that his role is like a very minor overseer of a small coal mine somewhere in the Earth Nation, which means his badge of authority is basically worth a coal. It's just, it has not proven to be very effective. But I
Especially dirty with coal.
We have likened it to being a plastic sheriff's badge.
yeah, it's like I'm a deputy.
Howdy, partner.
Yeah. Would you like to roll me with your badge of authority? And you don't need to roll. Rung's going to step in with his badge of authority. You can help him, which gives him a +1 to the roll.
Yep.
Because the badge of authority trumps you trying to persuade for more money. He's just going to come in and be like, I think you'll find that this young gentleman, this fine, upstanding gentleman, is owed a lot more. Wow, it's a 6. Luckily, there's a +1, which takes it to a mixed success.
Do I need to mark fatigue for that?
Yeah. I just drops unconscious to the ground. No. As you guys begin like back and forth, the beetle-headed merchants initially seem a little bit put off by this badge, not really wanting to acknowledge your authority. But as you discuss with them and it goes back and forth, they do consent. They are willing to offer you guys a small sand skip, which is a much smaller version of the sand sailor. It's basically like the tinny version of a sand sailor. For non-Australians, a small boat. It's only 3 meters long and 1.5 meters wide. They're willing to offer that. It's in okay nick, and they're also willing to offer 60 Earth Nation coins as well as the sand skip, which, to your estimation, is fairly. It's a fairly okay deal. It's not. They're not trying to have you too much. No more than the beetle-headed merchants normally trying to rip people off.
Do I believe Rung is up to piloting that out of the desert after my very brief training, or
you reckon
is this sand skip
Rung...
effectively useless to them?
No, you think
pretty confident.
You think Rung knows enough about sandbending that they're not. It's not suicide.
All right.
You look over and see Rung. He goes to practice sandbending and flicks it in his eyes. He's like,
Yeah, actually, that's a good point. Oki will be very familiar with sailing. That's a really good point. So Oki as well.
Waterbending multiple small things, ice and snow and water. So she can probably be helping him understand the dynamics of sand and sailing and
And remember as well, firebending can be used to generate heat, which can also be used to generate an updraft as well. So you could also try and do something with that too if you guys want to play around with the sails a little bit and change the
sails on
fire. And just so I'm helpful too, I can whip a fan.
Whip it.
Come on, I'm useful.
Yeah.
I can do things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I swear.
Absolutely. And I think with that, as I sort of hands over this your very first sand skip, do you have any words of encouragement for them as they continue their journey into the desert?
Keep an eye out for the worms. Remember what I taught you. No rhythmic movements. If you see the worm sign, stop, and you'll be fine.
And dance.
It's like a
Respect
little
the desert.
sign of a worm.
Is it
Stop,
worms
collaborate,
next 10
and listen.
kilometers?
Yeah. Worm.
Amazing.
The next 10 kilometers is just the size of its mouth.
Yeah. Alrighty. Well, we will pick up with you guys your first night staying at the Misty Palms Oasis as I takes his coins and jumps back on his sand sailor. Off he goes back into the desert. You sort of see I begins whipping up that central tornado of sand, and very quickly his sand sailor picks up speed and disappears into the deep desert, heading even deeper than you guys were planning on going. As he sort of disappears over the horizon, the moon rising high above, I disappears from view. And with that, we will wrap up the session there. Bye! We'll wrap up the session there, and we will come back next Monday. Hopefully be rejoined by Dave. However, there is a chance Dave will be out next session, so I will give Haz plenty of notice if I comes back and goes, I forgot.
And I'm back.
I forgot something very important. What we'll do is we'll retcon him buying you the sand skip, and we'll have that be something he gets you later if that's the case. We'll do a little mini retcon. But
I really don't trust you with that sand skip yet.
Yeah. You have
Realize
a second
we'll die.
thoughts. You have like a 2 a.m. like you wake up at 2 a.m. being like, I really shouldn't have given that to them. That was a horrible mistake. They're not ready.
How did you learn to drive? I was taught by someone who was very old.
That never goes poorly,
2
does it?
hours.
Oh man, thank you so much for joining us, Haz, as a guest character. Thank you for bringing in I. Really cool character. I really hope we can get I back for some more sessions. And I hope you enjoyed Avatar Legends. It is a pretty
great
fun.
time. It's a cool system.
It's a good system, isn't it? Thank you everybody who's been coming and watching. I see the chat's been having lots of fun. Thank you for those of you who've been coming in. Thank you, Dragon, for spending your channel points on giving Andrew advantage. Not thank you for giving him advantage, but thank you for spending the channel points. Remember, you can also give players disadvantage, but you can also give me the Dungeon Master advantage and disadvantage too. So remember, you can play around with all of our lives. Well, that's it from me. Thank you so much, everybody. Stay safe, stay well, and we will be back next Monday for the next exciting episode of Avatar Legends. We are calling this one Book 1, The Embers of War. So we'll have it all arranged in the different books. We're going to do the entire thing. We're going to absolutely go nuts with this. Alrighty. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next week. Farewell, and stay safe.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.